The receptionist called the executive secretary's office. The call was transferred to Cole. Mr. Miller, a Ms. Jenna Vance is here to see you. Should I send her up? I won't see her. Tell her to leave, Cole said, hanging up without another word. The receptionist relayed the message. Jenna murmured to herself, "So I really can't see him." The receptionist didn't know why the boss refused to see his own sister-in-law, but it wasn't her place to ask. "You could wait in the lounge for a bit if you like. I can get you a glass of water." Jenna nodded. The receptionist couldn't exactly throw her out, not with her family connection. She was just a regular workhorse, trying not to offend anyone. "What would you like to drink? We have coffee, lemonade, tea. Mineral water is fine." When the water was brought over, Jenna accepted it with a quiet thank you, and then simply stared at the table. Her face was pale, her eyes distant. Even through her makeup, the dark circles under her eyes were visible. She sat there for 2 hours without once looking at her phone, just gazing blankly at the wall. It wasn't until 2 in the afternoon, after receiving a text from her mother, that she slowly got up and left. Upstairs, Cole had gone right back to work after the call, pushing Jenna completely out of his mind. He didn't remember the incident until he got home that evening and saw her there. He thought that would be the end of it, but the next day, Jenna returned to his company. The receptionist frowned, not understanding Jenna's strategy. Why insist on seeing him at the office? They were family. Couldn't they talk at home? The receptionist was new to the city and knew nothing about Cole and Jenna's history. It was only through office gossip that she learned the truth. Jenna was his ex-girlfriend. They had almost gotten married 5 years ago. Her ex was now her brother-in-law, and she was showing up at his office 2 days in a row. What was she trying to do? "Ms. Vance, Mr. Miller doesn't want to see you. Please leave." This time, she wasn't even offered the lounge. Jenna stood in silence for a long moment before turning to leave. The temperature was high today, hovering between 95 and 100 degrees, and the early afternoon sun was brutal. As soon as she stepped out of the air-conditioned building, a wave of heat hit her. She didn't go far, instead finding a nearby cafe and taking a seat inside. "Sir, Ms. Vance has left the building, but she hasn't gone far. She's at the coffee shop next door," a security guard reported to Cole's office. "So she's planning to wait me out," Cole thought. "Is she trying to wear me down?" He truly couldn't figure out what Jenna wanted. She had seemed normal enough at home, but this 2-day stakeout was bizarre. If he kept refusing to see her, would she just camp out there indefinitely? He didn't have the energy to dwell on it. He had a meeting with a Mr. Wallace to get to. Wallace had booked a table at a nearby restaurant. He'd been trying to land a meeting with Cole for weeks and had come fully prepared with market research, data analysis, and contract proposals. The driver had the car's AC blasting when Cole went down to the parking garage. Cole spent the ride reviewing Wallace's file, personal history, business assets, credit score, even a summary of his family situation. The man's resume was impressive. Early in his career, he'd boldly signed a management contract with a small, developing hotel in a small western country, and its profits were still climbing steadily. Wallace had a solid reputation in management and was extremely well-connected. When Cole arrived, Mr. Wallace stood to greet him warmly. "Mr. Miller, so glad you could make it." Wallace was 56, with a slightly bald head, a bit of a beer belly, and a perpetually smiling face that made him seem approachable. But Cole knew better than to be complacent. In business, the ones who seemed the friendliest were often the most inscrutable. They shook hands and exchanged pleasantries. Cole wasn't a natural socializer, but his previous jobs had taught him the basics of professional small talk. As was his habit, Cole took a moment to silently survey the room. Wallace hadn't brought many people, just an assistant, a vice president, and, most notably, the woman sitting beside him. She looked to be in her 40s, dressed in a tight-fitting professional suit that seemed more appropriate for a companion than a secretary. What made her notable was her reaction when she saw him. Her eyes widened, and she froze in her seat, staring. Wallace began the introductions. "Mr. Miller, this is my assistant, my VP, and this is my secretary, Wendy." Cole studied the woman named Wendy, a strange sense of familiarity washing over him. He was sure he'd seen her somewhere before. Wendy looked increasingly uncomfortable, her face growing paler as she lowered her gaze. Wallace noticed her odd behavior, a flicker of suspicion in his eyes. He wondered if she had somehow offended Cole in the past. Why else would she look like a mouse that had just seen a cat? "What's wrong with you?" he muttered to her. "Mr. Wallace, I'm feeling a little unwell," Wendy whispered back. Visibly annoyed, Wallace snapped, "If you're not feeling well, then get out." Wendy quickly stood up and left, stealing a quick glance at Cole from the corner of her eye as she went. Once she was gone, Wallace asked tentatively, "Mr. Miller, do you know Wendy?" Cole shook his head. "She just looks a little familiar." Seeing Cole's calm expression, Wallace relaxed. My secretary used to live here in Denver before moving to Phoenix. I brought her along on short notice. From the first glance at Wendy, besides the familiarity, Cole had felt a prickle of discomfort. He trusted his instincts. Before arriving, he had been prepared to seriously negotiate this deal with Wallace. Now, that interest had vanished. The meal was awkward, the business discussion non-existent. As he was leaving, Cole simply said, "I'll think about it," which Wallace correctly understood to mean the deal was dead. After seeing Cole off with a smile that didn't reach his eyes, Wallace's face turned grim as he got into his car and confronted Wendy. "Did you do something to offend Cole Miller?" "No, of course not," Wendy said, having composed herself. Her voice was gentle, her smile back in place, but under Wallace's scrutinizing gaze, a hint of panic broke through. Wallace's eyes narrowed, a cold light glinting within them. "You'd better tell me the truth, because if I find out on my own, you're going to regret it." He couldn't think of any other reason why a promising deal would suddenly go south. Wendy's face went white with terror. She couldn't utter a single word. If she had known Mr. Wallace's meeting was with Cole Miller, she would have never, ever come. Cole was her recurring nightmare. If it weren't for him 4 years ago, her husband wouldn't have died in prison, her son wouldn't have been locked up, and she wouldn't have been reduced to being some man's mistress. After the meeting, Cole had someone look into Wendy. The results were just as he'd suspected. She wasn't a secretary, but Mr. Wallace's mistress, a fact that was apparently an open secret in Phoenix society. Cole despised adulterers. Honesty was paramount in life and in business. Someone unfaithful in their marriage had lost their basic moral compass. He would never partner with a man who lacked integrity and a sense of responsibility. Back at the office, Cole placed a video call to Cora. She was at her computer reviewing documents when his call came through. She answered, propping her phone up against the monitor. "Weren't you meeting with Mr. Wallace about a partnership? How did it go?" "It didn't," he said. Hearing the tone in his voice, she asked with concern, "What happened?" Cole briefly explained the situation. He brought his mistress to a business lunch. He couldn't understand how a man of Wallace's age and stature could make such a foolish mistake. As a sought-after business leader, Cole had the luxury of choosing his partners, and this was an easy disqualification. "How did you know she was his mistress?" Cora asked, curious. She looked familiar, and her body language was a little too intimate. "I had someone check, and it came out right away. It's not a secret in Phoenix. If I'd known beforehand, I would have declined the meeting over the phone." Cole had an excellent memory. If someone looked familiar, it meant he'd met them before, and they'd left an impression. He decided to dig deeper into this Wendy and see if she was someone he'd known in the last 5 years. "Oh, there's something I forgot to tell you," he added. "Jenna has been coming to my office. She was there yesterday and again today. 2 days in a row. Why didn't you tell me yesterday?" Cora frowned. What does she want? Privately, she didn't want Cole having any contact with Jenna. "I forgot," Cole quickly explained. "I have no idea what she wants. I didn't see her. I didn't even let her up the elevator. The receptionist called, and I had her sent away." He just hadn't expected Jenna to be so shameless as to wait for him at the coffee shop downstairs. After ignoring her for 2 days, surely she wouldn't come back tomorrow. Cora nodded, satisfied. "Good. If she comes back, call me. I'll go deal with her. By the way, are you free the day after tomorrow?" The day after tomorrow was Friday. Cole checked his schedule. "I'm not busy." "Why?" "We talked about it, remember? Finding some time to visit your old neighborhood. I want to try the food trucks you always used to eat at." Cole was eager to go back, too. He'd lived there for so long. He still felt an attachment to the place. "Sound good. The night market there's great, lots of good food." He paused. "Should we bring Leo?" "Let's take him next time. Just the two of us for this first trip, so we can get a feel for the place again." "Okay," Cole agreed. After hanging up, Cole packed up to leave for the day, planning to pick up Leo from preschool. On the way, he passed a bakery that Cora loved, one that always had a long line. He had the driver pull over. Today the line was short and he had time. After about 10 minutes, he emerged with a slice of her favorite strawberry cake, along with some cookies and pastries. The moment Leo got in the car, his eyes lit up. "Cake. Daddy, did you buy cake? Do you want some?" "Yes." Leo licked his lips. "Can I eat it now?" "You can have some cookies and pastries. The cake is for when Mommy gets home, so we can all eat it together." "Okay, I'll have a cookie." Leo nibbled on the cookie like a little hamster, stuffing his cheeks. When they got home, Cole saw Cora's shoes by the door. Holding the cake box in one hand and his son's hand in the other, he said, "Mommy's already home. Let's go find her." She wasn't on the first floor or in their bedroom. The last place was the study. He knocked. "Come in." Seeing it was Cole, Cora stopped what she was doing. "You're back." No matter how tired he was, hearing her voice when he came home instantly revived him. more effective than any cup of coffee. I bought you something. Cora peeked out from behind her desk, curious. What is it? Before he could even show her, she guessed. Did you get cake? Isn't the line at that place always super long? It was too hot today, so not many people were out. He opened the box. I got your favorite, strawberry cake. Wow, strawberry cake. Leo cheered enthusiastically. Cora suppressed a smile. Do you like it, Leo? I love it, he shouted. Then let's eat it together. Cole had bought a small slice, just enough for one person, knowing they had dinner soon. Cora took a spoonful and fed it to Leo, then scooped another and held it out for Cole. You eat first, he said. You, she insisted, holding the spoon steady. The scent of fresh strawberries was intoxicating. Cole's gaze drifted from her lips to the cake. He opened his mouth and ate it in one bite. The strawberry burst in his mouth. No wonder people lined up for this. The ingredients were top-notch. The strawberries were perfect, the cream was rich and real, and the cake itself was light and sweet without being cloying. Is the strawberry good? Seeing a bit of cream on his lips, Cora reached out and wiped it away, her thumb gently brushing his mouth. Cole felt a little dazed, momentarily unsure if the cake was sweeter or her touch. Delicious. Now it was Cora's turn. She took a bite, a look of pure satisfaction on her face. This place is just as good as I remember. The taste hadn't changed, but the price certainly had. 5 years ago, this slice would have been $5. Now it was nearly 10. But as much as I like eating strawberries, Cora said, her voice dropping to a low, playful murmur, I'd much rather be planting them on soil that's about 98.6 degrees. At her words, Cole's eyes widened. He shot a nervous glance at Leo, trying to warn her with his eyes that their son was right there. 3.5-year-old Leo, oblivious to the double entendre, asked innocently, Mommy, if you like planting strawberries, how come I've never seen you do it? And what kind of soil is 98.6 degrees? Can strawberries even grow when it's that hot? I don't know, Cora replied smoothly. I've never tried. But Leo started to ask another question, but Cora cut him off by scooping up more cake. Here comes the little cake monster. Open wide. Ah, Leo obliged, his mouth wide open. Cole couldn't bring himself to see Jenna as a sister-in-law. To him, she was just an ex-girlfriend, and a good ex was one who acted like they were dead. When she came to his company, he ignored her. When she came for dinner, he ignored her. Cole was a man with firm boundaries. Besides his wife, he maintained a careful distance from all other women. He wouldn't cross the invisible line he'd drawn, nor would he allow Jenna to cross it. The moment he had agreed to be a normal husband to Cora, he had drawn a circle around their life together. He wouldn't step out, and he wouldn't let anyone else in. He hadn't told the Van Cess about Jenna's visits to his office, purely out of respect for them. He didn't want to cause them any more worry. At the dinner table, Eleanor asked Jenna, What have you been busy with the last couple of days? Jenna glanced at Cole, who sat opposite her. Just walking around, meeting up with some old friends. Who did you see? Jenna gave a name. Eleanor seemed to recall it. Oh, her. She was on the student council with you, right? How is she doing? She opened her own clothing boutique. She's a designer now. That's wonderful, Eleanor said, nodding. But she felt a nagging sense of unease. It was as if Jenna had changed, become unreadable. It was impossible to tell if she was being truthful, impossible to guess what she was really thinking. You can only warn someone so many times before the words become tiresome for both the speaker and the listener. Eleanor's greatest fear was that Jenna still wasn't over Cole and would secretly seek him out, disrupting the fragile peace they had all worked so hard to maintain. As she thought this, her eyes drifted to her husband. She wasn't the only one who was worried. Usually, Robert would fuss about wanting meat at dinner like a child, but since Jenna's return, he hadn't touched a single piece, picking only at the vegetables in front of him. He lost weight in just 4 days. His appetite was gone, and his sleep had suffered. He used to sleep until late in the morning, but recently he was up before dawn, not going out, just staring out the window. Looking at the new gray in her husband's hair, Eleanor's heart ached. He had worried so much and sacrificed so much for their family. At their age, a harmonious family was more important than any career success. She couldn't tell if their current calm was genuine peace or just the quiet before a storm. Later that evening, Cole was working in his study while Cora helped Leo with a craft project for school. Halfway through, Cora took out her phone and started recording a video. In the frame, her son was bent over his work, brows furrowed in concentration as he colored. She then panned the camera to Cole at his desk. Like father, like son, she thought. They have the exact same expression when they're focused. Cole quickly noticed he was being filmed. He stopped what he was doing and looked up at the camera. Are you taking a picture? A video. My husband looks so handsome when he's working hard, I couldn't resist. Now I can watch it whenever I'm alone. Cole had never received such a bold, enthusiastic compliment. It sent a pleasant warmth through him. Let me see. Cora walked over and showed him the video. See? So handsome. Looking at this, Leo really is your mini-me. From across the room, Leo chimed in, I'm Daddy's son, of course I look like him. He looked up and saw his parents close together again. It always happened. Whenever Mom was around, Dad got distracted. He was the one who could stay focused. Look at his amazing craft project. Leo admired his work proudly. Leo, honey, Mommy needs to talk to Daddy about work. Could you go play outside for a little bit? Leo, clearly used to this routine, picked up his project without a word and headed out, carefully closing the door behind him. The moment he was gone, Cora perched on Cole's lap. Have you found out anything about the car crash from 5 years ago? Almost forgot about that. Let me ask. Cole found the number and dialed. The private investigator answered with an apology. So sorry, Mr. Miller. I've been a bit swamped lately, but I did finish the investigation you requested. I'm sending the report to your email right now. Good. Cole held the phone with one hand and wrapped his other arm around Cora's waist. The sound of typing came through the phone. It's sent, the PI said cheerfully. Let me know if you have any questions. I'm available 24/7. Thank you. I appreciate your work. All part of the service. After hanging up, Cole logged into his email. The report was detailed, with specific times, locations, and a list of victims from the crash. Cole's name was on the list as the most severely injured. The photos showed his car, nearly totaled. The rear was completely smashed in, glass shattered everywhere. The area where he had been sitting was a mangled wreck. According to the report, his leg had been trapped, and he was unconscious and covered in blood when help arrived. It had taken rescue crews a significant effort to extract him. Looking at the photos, a sharp, stabbing pain shot through Cole's chest, a primal fear he recognized as post-traumatic stress. His hand began to tremble uncontrollably until Cora took it in hers. Steeling himself, Cole scrolled down, getting closer to the truth. It had been a deliberate act. The first impact had injured his head, but his driver had reacted quickly and could have avoided the second hit. But the truck had swerved, aiming for them again. According to the records, the truck driver, a John D., had been paid to cause the accident. The objective was simple, to stop Cole Miller from getting to his wedding. The driver was convicted of vehicular assault and had his license permanently revoked. The person who had orchestrated the whole thing was a man named Sean Sullivan. Cole stared at the unfamiliar name. Who is Sean Sullivan? He was Jenna's high school classmate, Cora said softly. And her first love. Jenna had started dating him in her senior year. When her father found out, he'd lectured her and forced her to break up with him. In his view, senior year was for studying and preparing for college entrance exams. A relationship was a distraction that would ruin her future. Jenna had protested, but on the matter of dating before college, her father was resolute. Robert Vance had given Jenna two choices, transfer schools or break up. Knowing she couldn't win, she chose to break up. After all, graduation was only a few months away. They could just get back together afterward. Her father, not wanting to push her too hard and cause a bigger rebellion, had played good cop with Eleanor's bad cop and gently coaxed her through it. Sure enough, after graduation, Jenna and Sean were back together. Her grades had been decent enough, so her father had turned a blind eye. Sean, however, hadn't done well and was sent abroad by his family to get a degree. And so began their long-distance relationship. Jenna would occasionally mention Sean to Cora, which is why Cora recognized the name instantly. When Jenna was 21, she flew overseas to visit Sean. They went skydiving together, but there was an accident, and Jenna broke her leg. At first, Sean stayed by her side, but they began to fight constantly. After one particularly nasty argument, he left the country again, and they broke up for good. The next year, at 22, Jenna met Cole. He supported her through countless treatments and physical therapy sessions. It took a full year before she could walk again. Suddenly, it all made a horrifying kind of sense. Her relationship with him had been nothing more than a whim. No wonder she had been so hot and cold when they were dating. He'd assumed it was just her personality. It turned out she could be proactive, compromising, and devoted, just not for him. She would fly across the world for Sean, do things she was terrified of like skydiving, just to be with him. She could suppress her temper for him. She could even abandon her own wedding for him. What a touching love story. And what had he done to deserve being a part of it? He was a pawn, a tool to make her ex jealous. He was the catalyst that reignited their tragic romance. He had offered his genuine heart and, in return, had been used and discarded. His love was an accessory to someone else's drama. Was that fair? It was a fucking soap opera. The world was a joke. Cole stared at the screen, the words and images blurring into a twisted, bloody mess. Sean had paid someone to run him off the road, and then he and Jenna had run away together. What about the victims left behind in the wreckage? What about him being rushed to the hospital? What about his grandmother, waiting at home for him to return? She had been so excited for his wedding, calling him that morning, full of joy. And for what? He had considered every possible reason for Jenna leaving him at the altar, but he had never imagined the truth would be so vile. A single thought consumed him. She deserves to die. No wonder Eleanor always looked at him with a hint of guilt. No wonder she and Robert avoided talking about Jenna whenever he and Cora were around. The words on the screen echoed in his mind, growing louder until they were deafening. He stared blankly, his hand numb on the mouse as he scrolled down. The last page showed Sean Sullivan's sentence, 5 years in prison. It felt as meaningless as a speck of dust settling on his desk. What did it do? Could it bring back what he'd lost? Could he ever see his grandmother again? A dull ache flared in his right leg, so intense it began to tremble. Cora immediately noticed. She knelt and began expertly massaging his leg. Is your leg hurting? Cole felt like he was about to shatter. His eyes were red, filmed over with a layer of unshed tears. The very air seemed to turn to needles, piercing his body with every breath. The pain spread through his veins to the tips of his fingers. He didn't answer Cora, but whispered to himself, "Why did she have to pick me? Why me?" Cora didn't know how to comfort him. After a moment, she simply stood and wrapped her arms around him. Cole instinctively buried his face in her embrace. He couldn't cry. His body felt numb, incapable of any other expression. "Why did she come back?" he mumbled into her shoulder. "Is she here for revenge? Because her first love went to prison because of me?" Sean's imprisonment was his own damn fault. As for revenge, that seemed unlikely. From the way Jenna looked at Cole and from what her mother had said, it was clear she had feelings for him now. But those feelings were a sick joke, too false, too late. Jenna was fundamentally selfish. She never cherished what she had until it was gone, like a child with a room full of toys who only wants the one someone else is holding. Cole gently pushed Cora away. "I'm a little tired. I need to be alone for a minute." He forced a brittle smile. "I'm fine. Really. It's all in the past." The more he tried to pretend, the more Cora's heart ached for him. She leaned in and kissed his forehead. "I'm here with you. No matter what, she would be by his side." She wasn't good with pretty words, but she could show him with her actions. He touched his forehead where she'd kissed him, and his frayed emotions began to settle. He closed the laptop. Was Jenna involved in planning the crash? Whether she was or not, by choosing to run away with Sean at that moment, she was an accomplice. But Cora analyzed it rationally. If she had masterminded it, she'd be in prison too. Cole thought of Jenna and Sean, and a wave of disgust washed over him. He called the PI again and hired him for a new job. Investigate Sean, his family, and while he was at it, find out everything he could about Wendy. Heather Raines. His gut told him there was more to this story. Cora left the study and went straight downstairs. "Mom, where's Jenna?" "She already left." "When?" Cora asked, her voice dangerously calm. "Just a few minutes ago." Eleanor was sitting on the sofa eating watermelon and was about to offer some to Cora, but in the blink of an eye, she was gone. Eleanor stood up. What is she doing? A sense of dread washed over her. Cora's expression had been calm, but there was something unsettling beneath the surface. Cora didn't even bother to change her shoes. She ran outside. Jenna walked slowly, and Cora caught up to her just as she reached the parking lot. "Jenna!" Jenna turned at the sound of her name. Before she could react, Cora slapped her across the face. Crack! Jenna clutched her cheek, her face a mask of disbelief. It was an attack out of nowhere. She had been about to get in her car when Cora descended on her. The slap was hard, the sound sharp and clear in the quiet evening. Half of Jenna's face immediately turned a deep red, a stark contrast to the pale white of the other side. Fury flared in Jenna's eyes. She raised a hand to strike back, but in the next second, Cora grabbed her wrist, clamped a hand around her neck, and slammed her to the ground. Then came 2 more hard slaps. Jenna's head rang. "Cora, are you insane? Why are you hitting me?" she shrieked. "Do I need a reason? I should have done this 5 years ago." "Didn't you?" Jenna spat back. Cora's hand paused. Then she hit her again. "What I did 5 years ago has nothing to do with today." Jenna struggled to get up, but Cora held her down easily. She glared up at her sister, her eyes burning with hatred. "How dare you show your face in front of him? How dare you ask for his forgiveness? Do you deserve it? God, I want to kill you right now." Cora's gaze was just as venomous. "Don't think I don't know why you came back. Shove your filthy intentions where they belong." Someone like you doesn't deserve to be loved. The word struck a nerve. And you do, Jenna retorted. Of course I do, because I'm not selfish, deceitful, and fickle like you. You belong in a gutter like a dead rat. Cora's words were a knife, slicing Jenna open. The raw pain was visceral. The hatred in her eyes slowly dissolved into a dead pool of despair. She curled up on the pavement, letting Cora's insults wash over her. Unmoving, her eyes eventually closing. But Cora wasn't finished. She felt a frustrating helplessness, like trying to reach through a screen to inflict real damage. She never should have let Jenna come back. She should have stayed abroad forever. Cora stood up. Have you forgotten that last week was the anniversary of Cole's grandmother's death? If she hadn't died, she would have turned 80 this year. At the mention of the old woman, Jenna's eyes flew open. A flash of genuine pain and regret crossed her face. Regret? For the kind old woman who had died in the aftermath of that wedding? Pain? For losing a man as good as Cole? Loss? For knowing she would never again find someone who loved her the way he had? There's a saying, when you've been truly loved and protected, it sets the standard for the rest of your life. You know so clearly what real love feels like that you can spot insincerity a mile away. It's hard to downgrade love. Once you've experienced the best, it's nearly impossible to settle for anything less. Jenna was transported back 5 years, to another time Cora had forced her to her knees. She had tried to fight then, too, until Cora had uttered the words, "Grandma's dead." At that, her knees had felt glued to the floor. I'm sorry, Jenna whispered, her eyes vacant. Does sorry fix anything? Can it bring his grandmother back? Can it heal his leg? Where were you then? If an apology solved everything, could I shoot you and then claim the gun went off by itself? Cora loomed over her. Under that crushing gaze, Jenna's defenses crumbled. She curled into a ball, like an armadillo shielding itself from harm. Jenna, your very existence is a mistake. Then and now. Cora stood over her, a figure of judgment. Stay away from Cole. If I find out you're bothering him again, I'll beat you every single time I see you. The shadow above her retreated. The footsteps faded into the distance, and the parking lot fell into a dead silence. Jenna's face was ashen. Tears streamed down her face, and she scrubbed at them futilely, more and more coming until she was choking on sobs. In her anguish, she bit down on her own arm, sinking her teeth in until a bloody imprint appeared on her skin before she finally let go. As soon as Cora walked back into the house, she saw her mother. Did something happen? Eleanor asked, her face etched with worry. It's fine, Cora said, shaking out her wrist as she headed upstairs. By the way, Mom, Jenna won't be coming for dinner for the next couple of days. What? Why? Eleanor was bewildered. She wanted to ask more, but Cora was already up the stairs and gone. Eleanor looked anxiously at her phone, then went to find her husband to tell him what had just happened. Robert was more pragmatic. Let the younger generation solve their own problems. We're their elders. We shouldn't interfere. They were getting old, and they couldn't manage everything. Forcing their way in would only make things worse. In this family, it was best to trust Cora. Eleanor sighed and nodded reluctantly. The study and the bedroom were empty. Cora checked room by room until she heard Cole's voice coming from the nursery. He was giving Leo a bath. Daisy, their golden retriever, was there too, wagging her tail and barking softly when she saw Cora. Father and son turned their heads at the same time. Mommy, where did you go? I had to take care of something. To head off any more questions from Leo, Cora quickly changed the subject. Is your craft project finished? All done. I put it on my desk. Leo had gotten paint all over himself, his face a mess of colors like a little clown. Cole was gently wiping his face with a wet cloth. The boy's skin was tender and reddened easily. "Oh, Daddy, be gentle," Leo whined, his eyes welling up. Cora's heart softened. "Let me do it." Cole glanced at her right hand, and his eyes widened slightly. "Your hand is hurt." "I've got it." Cora was about to say it was fine, but then she looked down. The scab from an old cut had split open. For every action, there is an equal and opposite reaction. She had slapped Jenna's face, and Jenna's face had, in turn, hit her hand. Her palm was red and raw. Not wanting to worry them, she quickly hid her hand behind her back. Leo tried to turn to see, but Cole held him firmly. "Stay still. We're almost done." Cole worked quickly, and in a few moments, he had Leo out of the tub and wrapped in a towel. He tossed some pajamas on the bed. "Get dressed, then brush your teeth and go to sleep." Leo, his hair sticking up like a bird's nest, was still trying to process what happened as the door closed behind his father. Cole took Cora's hand and led her silently back to their bedroom. Once inside, he asked, "How did this happen?" Cora hesitated for a second before answering truthfully. "Someone hit me." Cole's brow furrowed. Who hit you? Jenna did, Cora said, her eyes welling with crocodile tears as she put on a pitiful act. She hit my hand with her face. Look, it's all red. Cora had intended to play the damsel in distress a little longer to make Cole feel sorry for her, but seeing the genuine pain in his eyes, she couldn't keep it up. She curled her fingers. I'm kidding. It doesn't hurt at all. Stop frowning like that. You're going to crush a mosquito between your eyebrows. Cole gently rubbed her palm. You really don't have to do this for me. He didn't want Cora to be caught in the middle, torn between her family and her husband. Anyone who makes you unhappy, I'll make them unhappy, Cora said softly, smoothing the crease between his brows. I'm your wife. Whose side would I be on if not yours? And don't think I did it just for you. I did it for myself, too. I don't want any outside drama messing with our relationship. Jenna deserved it. If I'd known the truth sooner, I never would have let her come back. Cora rarely looked so serious. She looped her arms around his neck, pulling him closer until their hearts were pressed together. Cole, sometimes I think, if I hadn't asked you to bring those files to the hospital that day, would Jenna have ever seen you? Would she have pursued you, deceived you? You wouldn't have had that wedding, the crash wouldn't have happened, and maybe your grandmother would still be alive. You shouldn't think like that, Cole said, shaking his head. I took that orderly job because I wanted to earn extra money. At the time, it was the best choice for me. If anyone's to blame, it's me for being a poor judge of character. People have a tendency to dwell on the past, to get lost in painful memories and blame themselves, thinking a different choice would have led to a different outcome. I've come to terms with it now, he continued, his voice steady. I can't let past mistakes define who I am today. You have to accept your imperfections, your regrets. The past is gone, but the future can be changed. Cora's heart stirred. She buried her face in the crook of his neck, inhaling his scent, a unique, comforting aroma that was all his. Cole looked at her hand again. You must have hit her really hard. Your palm is bright red, and the cut reopened. It was a free punching bag, why not use it? She's the one who upset us. If you ask me, I didn't hit her hard enough. Next time, use the sole of your shoe. Don't hurt your hand. Okay, I will, Cora said, laughing at his deadpan expression. A mischievous glint appeared in her eyes. My dear husband, my hand is injured now. Could you help me take a shower? Her period wasn't over yet, so a shower was just a shower. To keep his thoughts pure, Cole imagined he was bathing Leo, working with swift but gentle efficiency. Wendy's real name wasn't Wendy, it was Heather Raines. After her husband and son were imprisoned, she had fled the state and changed her name, fearing retaliation. She had spent 20 years as a wealthy housewife, her days filled with either her family or beauty treatments, afternoon teas, and shopping. She knew how to spend money, not earn it. After the family went bankrupt, she tried to find legitimate work, but couldn't adapt. She couldn't handle the hardship or swallow her pride, yet she still craved a life of luxury. In the end, she decided to leverage her fading beauty and become a mistress. Most of the money she made over the years went into cosmetic procedures and maintenance. After all, her face was her livelihood. Her main goal was to save enough money for her son, Sean, so he could support her when he got out of prison. Sean had been released early for good behavior, but just like his mother, he had no interest in finding a real job. The market was tough. High-paying jobs were beyond his skills, and the jobs he could get paid too little for too much work. So, while Heather leached off her sugar daddy, Sean leached off his mother. It ran in the family. Sean was currently renting an apartment in Denver. After her duties with Mr. Wallace were done for the day, Heather went to see him. Are you sure you don't want to come to Phoenix with me? She asked. No way, Sean replied, his eyes glued to the game on his phone. I'm staying in Denver. Jenna Vance is back in the country. She's the reason I'm in this mess, and she's going to compensate me for it. I'm going to stick to her for the rest of my life. The light from the screen cast a grim, distorted look on his face. Sean hadn't had an easy time in prison. His head had been shaved, and though his hair had started to grow back, a deep, centipede-like scar was clearly visible on his scalp. He finished his game and looked up, noticing his mother's pale face. Mom, what's wrong? Are you not feeling well? Heather shook her head. I saw Cole Miller today. At the mention of Cole's name, Sean's reaction was explosive. You saw him? Where? Mr. Wallace brought me to a business meeting. I didn't know it was with Cole. If I had, I never would have gone. Now the deal is off, and he's going to take it out on me. Mr. Wallace was generous with his money, but he had a violent temper. Heather was afraid of him, but she was even more afraid of being broke again. Fuck. Sean kicked the table hard. Why didn't that truck just kill him back then? He's a goddamn menace. Cole was now a self-made titan, wealthier than the Sullivans had ever been. Sean felt nothing but pure, unadulterated jealousy. His only regret was not being more careful with his plan and not paying the driver enough to finish the job. Son, do you think he'll come after us? Heather fretted, wringing her hands. I'm really scared of him now. If I had known. If you had known, you should have gotten rid of him when he was a kid. Sean snapped, his anger now directed at her. It's your fault for being too soft on that bastard son. You let him live to steal my woman and put me in prison. The topic always enraged him. Now, regrets were useless. If even a man like Wallace had about a Cole, what chance did they have? Taking him on would be like an egg trying to smash a rock. Heather listened numbly, unable to argue. She thought back to her meeting with Cole that day. The way he looked at me today. It was strange. Strange how? It was like he was seeing me for the first time, she recalled. Like he didn't recognize me at all. Sean looked at his mother's face. She had maintained it well over the years. At 47, she could pass for under 40. It's probably all the plastic surgery. He didn't recognize you. Plus, you have a new name now. Could that be it? Heather touched her own face. If Cole hadn't recognized her, then maybe he wouldn't retaliate against her and the canceled deal with Mr. Wallace had nothing to do with her after all. She clung to that sliver of hope. Speaking of Jenna, Heather asked, have you managed to get in touch with her? I did, Sean said, tossing his phone aside and propping his feet up on the table. What did you talk about? What else? We caught up, made plans to get dinner, see a movie. What if she doesn't show up? Then I'll go find her. Jenna had been attracted to Sean in high school because he was handsome and rebellious. While everyone else was studying, he was a charismatic troublemaker with a distinctive style that naturally drew attention. Jenna was one of many who had been captivated. But now, Heather looked at her son, the scar on his head, his unshaven face, the clothes he hadn't changed in days. Could this man still attract Jenna? People remember their first love as a perfect, idealized image, not a stain on the bottom of their shoe. Jenna was wealthy, beautiful, and had seen the world. What man couldn't she have? Why would she want Sean now? For his prison record? His poor hygiene? His disfigured face? Heather thought Sean was being naive, but she didn't say anything. She was afraid of shattering his fragile ego. Sean always claimed that Jenna had wronged him, but the real problem was his own actions. If he hadn't paid a truck driver to ram Cole's car, he wouldn't have provoked Cole's brutal retaliation. It was a classic case of reaping what you sow. But Sean refused to accept that. He was too arrogant. When faced with a problem, his first instinct was to shift the blame, to paint himself as the victim and accuse others of betrayal. He was, in short, a shameless parasite. He had constructed a fantasy world for himself, where he was the wronged party, and he lived in it day after day, still dreaming of a shortcut to success. Did Sean truly love Jenna? Unlikely. If he had, he wouldn't have emotionally manipulated her when she broke her leg, making her feel so insecure that she was the one to initiate the breakup. And crashing the wedding? That was just his ego, a calculated move to reclaim what he saw as his best asset, a beautiful, wealthy heiress. After Heather left, Sean tried calling Jenna again. This time, the call didn't go through. It went straight to a busy signal. Had she declined the call, or blocked his number? It didn't matter. Sean wasn't going to give up on Jenna that easily. She was his only ticket back to the top. After the beating from Cora, Jenna did seem to quiet down. She didn't come to the house for dinner, nor did she go back to Cole's office. In his study, Cole did a quick search for Sean Sullivan. Same age as Jenna, 28, 3 years younger than him. On his dark wood desk sat 2 photo frames, one of his and Cora's wedding, the other a family portrait with Leo. He picked one up, turning it over in his hands as he reviewed the details of what had happened 5 years ago. At this point, his biggest curiosity wasn't about Heather or Sean. It was about his own love story with Cora. The closer he got to the truth, the more he wondered how they had ended up together. In the part of his life he couldn't remember, had Cora saved him again and again, just as she was doing now? Had her love given him a reason to live, to heal? Cora's affection was always bold and direct. She never hid her feelings, leaving him with nowhere to run. Her straightforwardness was the perfect cure for his own caution. The PI he had hired the night before delivered his findings the next day. Mr. Miller, I have the information you requested. Wendy is an alias. Her real name is Heather Raines, formerly of Denver. Her husband was Don Sullivan, a former senior policy advisor. 4 years ago, he was imprisoned for identity fraud, tax evasion, embezzlement, and bribery. He died in prison 2 years ago. They have one son, Sean Sullivan, the same one from your previous inquiry. Don Sullivan. Cole repeated the name silently. It felt familiar, but he couldn't tell if it was a physical memory or something his brain already knew. He put the photo frame down. Do you have a file on Don Sullivan? I need everything you can find. Not on hand, but if you need it, I can get it for you. Do it. Send me what you have now and dig up the rest. The more detailed, the better. Understood. The PI sent over what he had, including photos of Dawn and Heather. Heather had not only changed her name, but had also had significant cosmetic surgery. For Dawn, the PI sent his old work ID photos from when he was in his 30s and 40s. He was 50 when he was in prison, but he looked young for his age. No bald spot, no beer belly, with handsome features. As Cole stared at the face, he felt a strange, unsettling sensation. He looked similar. His own jawline and mouth seemed to mirror Don Sullivan's. An inexplicable discomfort settled in his stomach, though he didn't yet make the connection that Don Sullivan might be his father. His grandmother had always given him conflicting stories about his father. He drowned. He died in a car crash. Either way, he was dead. She often used him as a cautionary tale. Don't play near the pond. Your father drowned there. Look both ways before you cross the street. Your father didn't, and he got hit by a car. Be careful on the toilet. Your father fell in and died. From her stories, he could clearly sense her resentment and disgust for the man. As he got older, he understood. Maybe his father wasn't dead. Maybe his grandmother just wished he were. Cole had never felt much of anything for his so-called father. When he was young, he'd wondered why other kids had a mom and a dad, and he didn't. His mother had died when he was 2. What about his father? He was curious about their story, their names, their ages, how they met, when they married, when he was born. But whenever he asked about his father, his grandmother's mood would sour, so he eventually stopped. The saying that all parents love their children was a lie. If he had been loved, his deadbeat father would have come looking for him. But it didn't matter. He had his grandmother, and she had given him more than enough love to fill the void. Just when they thought Jenna might have finally gotten the message, she showed up at Cole's company again the very next day. It was the same routine. She'd asked the receptionist to call up, and when Cole inevitably refused to see her, she'd wait downstairs. The receptionist and the security guard were on high alert. They intercepted her before she even reached the desk. Ms. Vance. The receptionist's smile was painfully polite. Please leave. You aren't welcome here. Our boss has given clear instructions. If you have something to say, you should say it at home, in front of your parents. The receptionist now understood. She'd heard the gossip. Why would someone insist on seeing her brother-in-law privately at his office instead of talking to him with the whole family present? This wasn't about a family chat. It was about making a scene, playing the part of a heartbroken lover. If someone with a camera saw this, the rumors would be vicious. This woman was up to no good. 5 years ago, she had shattered Mr. Miller. Was she back now to ruin his marriage to Ms. Vance? Not on her watch. As the self-appointed president of the Miller-Vance fan club, she would not allow anyone to interfere. Her smile began to twitch. Her polite expression hardened into a glare. In her mind, she could hear the voice of a fierce, protective mother bear. Get back! Get back! Get back! The swelling on Jenna's face had gone down, but the faint bruises remained, poorly concealed by a thick layer of foundation. Feeling the receptionist's stare, she thought her makeup must be smudged and lowered her head, a wave of humiliation washing over her. But she didn't leave. Just like before, she went to the cafe across the street, bought a coffee, and stood outside in the blazing sun, her eyes fixed on the office building. Her desire to see Cole had reached a fever pitch. The weather forecast had issued a heat advisory, but she stood directly in the sun, squinting up at the glass tower. The iced drink in her hand did little to combat the heat. Soon, she was slick with sweat, her face burning. She had so much she wanted to say to him, and only to him. He had blocked her number, so she couldn't call or text. He refused to see her at his office. All she could do was wait, day after day, hoping he would soften. Jenna even rationalized that since Cole hadn't told her parents about this, he was tacitly allowing it. Maybe it was a test of her sincerity. If she just kept at it, surely he would give in. Cole had always been soft-hearted. The only reason he hadn't been back then was because his grandmother had just died. His heart was broken. There was no room for softness. But that was 5 years ago. People change. People move on. Jenna was betting that time had healed his wounds. She was betting that he had let it go. She hadn't forgotten the look in his eyes the other night. It was calm, distant, but not hateful. It was a start. She stood outside the cafe for nearly an hour. The sweat made her makeup run in streaks down her face. She was just about to go to the restroom when she saw the receptionist walking toward her from across the street, waving. Jenna straightened up abruptly, crushing the plastic cup in her hand. The receptionist reached her, her expression unreadable. Ms. Vance, our boss will see you now. Follow me. He'll see me? Jenna's heart hammered against her ribs as she hurried to keep up. Did he? Did he say anything else? Or it just that I should come up? No, the receptionist said, glancing at her. You're the one who wanted to talk to him, right? Her tone implied, why would he have anything to say to you? Jenna understood the subtext. 5 years ago, she would have lashed out at such disrespect. But now, she said nothing, completely consumed by the thought of seeing Cole. Upstairs in the CEO's office, Cora stood by the floor-to-ceiling window, looking down. Jenna had picked a strategic spot, easily visible from above. Standing in the sun like that, Cora thought, is this some kind of pity play? Does she think that'll make Cole feel sorry for her? Cora had never met anyone as shameless as her sister. She had beaten her, spelled things out in no uncertain terms, and yet here she was, still chasing after Cole. After standing out there for so long, her makeup must be a complete mess, she murmured. What was that? Cole asked, typing at his desk. Nothing. Just thinking about what we should have for dinner tonight, and where we should go afterward. There's not much to do over there, but the food is still great. It's been so many years. Maybe it's changed, developed a bit. Cole didn't tell her he had already looked up photos online. It hadn't changed much. Cora seemed even more excited about the trip than he was. He had set the time for after work, but she had shown up at noon. They'd even had lunch together in the company cafeteria, drawing plenty of attention. Jen has been waiting downstairs for almost 2 hours, Cora said, walking over to his desk and leaning on her hands. Maybe you should let her come up. Cole looked up at her. Are you serious? Cora nodded. It's hot out there. If she passes out from heat stroke, it'll be bad for your company's image. Besides, she added, a sly grin spreading across her face, I want to hear what she has to say. So that's the real reason, Cole thought with amusement. If his wife wanted a show, he was happy to provide it. Seeing Cora already cracking her knuckles, he picked up his phone. I'll have a receptionist bring her up. He called his secretary and gave the order. Cora watched from the window as the receptionist crossed the street. 5 minutes tops. Suddenly, Cora grabbed his tie. Cole looked up, a hint of confusion in his eyes. What is it? I want to kiss you. Can I? Her gaze was magnetic. She toyed with his tie, wrapping it around her finger again and again, shortening the distance between them. He wasn't sure who moved first. They were lost in each other until a knock at the door broke them apart. It had been too short. Cole steadied Cora by her waist. He saw her lick her lips, a satisfied smile playing at the corners of her mouth, and knew she was pleased. Mr. Miller, Ms. Vance is here. The secretary's voice was muffled through the door. No one answered. The secretary didn't dare open the door, so she waited. Cora, with the mischievous glint of a child caught doing something she shouldn't, gently pushed away from Cole. I'll go hide. Her eyes darted around the room. Under the desk? Behind the curtains? In the bathroom? Finally, her gaze landed on the private lounge attached to the office. Once Cora was hidden, Cole called out, Come in. Jenna entered eagerly. The first thing she saw were Cole's crooked tie and his slightly swollen, reddened lips. It looked for all the world like he'd been caught in an office romance. Her eyes scanned the room like a radar, but it was empty. Just Cole. You came here twice harassing my staff, just to stand there and stare at my office. Jenna flinched at the biting sarcasm in his voice. It was the same tone he'd used 5 years ago, cold, distant, and filled with an undisguised annoyance at her very presence. How could this be? Just the other night, his expression had been so much softer. What had happened in the last 2 days to bring back this wall of ice? Her confidence crumbled. Cole, why are you looking at me like that? Did Cora say something to you? She attacked me the other night, for no reason. My face is still bruised. Cora doesn't do anything without a reason. If she hit you, it means you deserved it. His words were a brick wall, blocking any attempt at sympathy. How can you be so quick to judge? She asked, her voice trembling. Because you're the one who twists the truth and spews lies, Cole sneered. Have you ever heard the story of the boy who cried wolf? A lump formed in Jenna's throat. A bitter, self-mocking laugh escaped her. The thick foundation on her face had begun to cake, making her look like a cracked porcelain doll. Are you still regretting that you ever got involved with me? Cole narrowed his eyes. To say I don't would be a lie. It was like stepping in a pile of stinking dog shit. You regret not watching where you were going, but you don't spend the rest of your life complaining about it. You wash it off, you throw the shoes away, and eventually you forget about it. But if someone brings it up again, you can't help but feel disgusted. He had compared her to dog shit. Contempt was so much worse than hate. Once it started, it never stopped. Jenna had gambled her pride, her dignity, on this last-ditch effort, and to him, it was worth nothing. Do we really have to talk like this? She choked out, her voice raw with pain. What kind of attitude do you want from me? We can't be friends. We can barely be family. The best attitude I can offer you is not hitting you or cursing you out. Cole leaned back in his chair, his expression unreadable, but his words were like a scalpel, inflicting deep, invisible wounds. Tears welled in Jenna's eyes. Just because I made one mistake, you're going to erase everything else? I know I was wrong. I've punished myself for 5 years. I finally came back. Can't you just remember the good times? I begged. I apologized. Can't we move on? I'll do anything if you can just forgive me. Cole frowned, wondering if the heat had fried her brain. You need to understand that some mistakes can't be undone. You talk about old times? Did you ever care about old times? Not with me. Not with your parents. Not with your sister. You did whatever you wanted, driven by pure selfishness. Your self-punishment means nothing to me. Are you trying to make yourself feel better by making everyone else sick? I didn't come here to reminisce with you. If this is all you have to say, you can leave. He shot her a look of cold impatience, and the last of her courage shattered. Can you at least unblock my number? No. Every word was a dead end. Her breathing grew shallow and shaky. Finally, she just asked, is there really no chance for us? There is nothing for you and me to discuss. 5 years ago, Jenna never would have imagined she'd be hung up on Cole for so long. She had always been fickle in her relationships, driven by her own pleasure. She was proud, willful, and had sworn she would never change for a man. But now, as she looked at him, she saw a desperate plea in her own eyes that she didn't recognize. She wasn't invincible. She could feel pain, disappointment, fear. The hope she had walked in with had curdled into a massive, crushing disappointment. It wasn't the setback that broke her. It was the hopeful version of herself she had allowed to exist. Regret is a poison you drink today for a mistake you made yesterday. The words echoed in her mind. A broken mirror can only be put back together if it was never truly broken, if it wasn't a mirror to begin with, or if the circle was never completed. She had tried to let go of this obsession, but her heart kept pulling her back. Not contacting him was one thing. Not thinking about him was another. She took a step closer. Cole, there's something I've wanted to ask you for 5 years. Did you marry Cora to get revenge on me? Your stupidity is as imaginative as ever. As Jenna moved closer, Cole's frown deepened. That's enough. I have nothing more to say to you. Go. No, I don't believe you feel nothing for me. Your attitude had softened just the other day. It has to be Cora. She's been bad-mouthing me, poisoning you against me. Why does she have to take everything from me? The company is hers. Our grandparents loved her more, Mom and Dad. What more does she want? Why did she have to steal you? Jenna's voice cracked. Cole, I still can't get over you. She finally said the words, stripping herself of her last shred of dignity. Cole's face was a mask of stone. That's disgusting. At that moment, the door to the lounge opened and Cora stepped out. If I remember correctly, don't you have a boyfriend? Cora, what are you doing here? Were you eavesdropping on us? Jenna whirled around, and suddenly Cole's disheveled appearance made sense. She spat her words with malice. Do you really need to cling to him this tightly? Is my presence making you that insecure? Cora had never encountered such brazen audacity. She was about to retort, but before she could, Cole stood up and unleashed a torrent of fury. Wipe the filth out of your eyes and look again. What eavesdropping? This is my wife's company. I belong to her. She owns this place. The only reason you're even in this room is because she allowed it. Otherwise, you could have dropped dead from heat stroke downstairs, and it wouldn't have meant a thing to me. He stepped in front of Cora, shielding her. And for the record, she's not clinging to me. I'm the one who clings to her. I can't stand to be away from her for a second. I told you to get out. Are you deaf? Do I need to hire a pet psychic to translate for you? And stop bringing up the past. Anyone who lives in the past is just admitting they have nothing valuable to offer in the present. His voice was laced with contempt. Just because I haven't hit you doesn't mean I don't want to. Now get out. Cole's eyes were daggers, piercing her straight through. The last of her hope evaporated. She looked from Cora to Cole, who stood protectively in front of his wife, his preference painfully, undeniably clear. A hollow wind blew through her heart. Jenna stumbled backward, her legs as heavy as lead, and walked out the door. As soon as the door clicked shut, Cora started clapping. Wow, you're lethal. Cole straightened his tie. Politeness doesn't work with her. I think her brain is made of wet cardboard, completely useless. Cora laughed. She was born an ale and spent her whole life looking for a hammer. Cole took her hand. So, how was my performance? Excellent, Cora said, nodding with satisfaction. And since it was excellent, he followed up smoothly, don't I deserve a reward? What kind of reward do you want? To continue what we were doing before we were so rudely interrupted. He swept her up and placed her on the desk, kissing her with a ferocity that made their earlier kiss seem tame. Jenna's interruption had only fueled the fire. He didn't know how long they kissed before he finally pulled away. Cora rested her head on his shoulder, catching her breath. After a moment, she held out her hand. Phone. A spot check? Cole handed it over without hesitation. Cora toyed with his tie with one hand while tapping open his phone's block list with the other. She's called you a lot. And texted. The list was a long, scrolling monument to Jenna's obsession. Cole had changed phones over the years, but just on this one, there were hundreds of entries. Combined with his old phone and blocked social media accounts, it had to be in the thousands. It was like she was using his inbox as her personal diary. The messages were a random assortment of her daily life. A meal she ate, a view she saw, a complaint about her day. But underlying it all was a current of longing. Had she been so bold because she was certain he would never look at his block list? Or, knowing her, did she hope he would look and interpret it as a sign that he still cared? The calls and texts had been especially frequent in the past few days, all of them begging for a chance to meet. Cole leaned over and read a few. He felt no nostalgia, only revulsion. Cora put the phone down. It looks like she's turned you into the one that got away. If anyone can be that, then the title is pretty cheap, Cole scoffed. I guess it makes sense. You see the moon every night. When they were together, she was thinking of Sean. Now that they were apart, she was thinking of him. It was the classic case of wanting what you can't have. There was probably useful information buried in those messages, but there were too many to sift through right now. It was funny, in a bleak sort of way. In all the confusion of his post-amnesia life, Cole had never once thought to check his block list. He had cut her off, but it had only been a one-way street. With nothing else on the schedule, Cole left work early. He and Cora drove to his old neighborhood, the Baker neighborhood in Denver. It's changed a little, he observed as they drove. The buildings had been updated, and many of the old food truck spots had become permanent storefronts. He found a place to park, and they got out, holding hands. I used to live in that building right there. It was an old complex, a bit run down and close to the market. Cora looked around, noticing the large number of older residents. Most of the people who live here got these apartments after their old homes were demolished for new developments, Cole explained. Was it noisy when you were trying to sleep? Cora asked. Yeah, but I got used to it. Cora loved peace and quiet. She wouldn't have lasted a night. I used to buy my groceries at that market. It was cheaper than the supermarket, and most of it was locally grown, so it was fresher. Sometimes, when I didn't feel like cooking, I'd get takeout from that Sichuan-style roast duck place. There was a great deli salad spot, too, but it looks like it's gone now. The area was rough around the edges, but just as Cole had described, it was convenient. There was a grocery store, a convenience store, and the subway was a 10-minute walk away. The night market offered cheap, delicious food. I went to the places you've been, walked the roads you've walked, saw the sights you've seen. Isn't that a different kind of reunion? The night market stalls were starting to open, and the sidewalks were filling up. Cole held Cora's hand tightly. They stopped at a bubble tea shop, and, as they passed a toy store, he bought a few small things for Leo. I'll take you to dinner, he said. He had been a foodie back then, exploring all the best local spots. Some had closed, others had new owners. After walking for a bit, he spotted a Sichuan restaurant. Its signature was fresh ingredients and a fiery, authentic flavor. He wondered if it was still as good after 5 years. Do you like spicy food? He asked. I love it. Then let's go there. A server handed the menus as they sat down. Cole glanced at the portions on other tables and ordered 3 dishes, a perfect amount for the two of them. While he answered her questions, he unwrapped their chopsticks and bowls and rinsed them with a hot tea on the table, a habit from his old life. You used to come here a lot? Cora asked. Yeah, the food is good, and it was close to home. The food came out quickly. A young woman who brought one of the dishes kept looking at Cole, her expression thoughtful. He noticed her staring and met her gaze. After a moment, her eyes lit up in recognition. I remember you, she exclaimed. You used to live around here, didn't you? I did, Cole confirmed. He figured the owner might recognize him as a regular, but this young woman, who looked barely 20, didn't ring a bell. Was she another person he had met in the last 5 years? Seeing his confusion, the young woman, Mia, explained, My uncle owns this place. I worked here during my summer break 4 years ago. You came in for dinner one night with this lady, she said, gesturing to Cora. Do you remember? Cole shook his head. I don't. Can you give me a specific date? It was at the end of August. Maybe the 30th? But that's not the important part. The important part is you left your cane here that night. Cole stared at her, stunned. How could a man who needed a cane forget to take it with him? My uncle was driving me to school the next day, so we were closed for a few days, Mia continued. We thought you'd come back for it, but we never saw you again. We didn't have security cameras back then, and I was the one who served you. If it had been my uncle, he would have recognized you right away. She smiled. It's kind of crazy that I ran into you again today. My uncle still has your cane. I'll go get it. August 30th. Why did that date sound so familiar? It hit Cole like a jolt. He looked at Cora, who was looking right back at him. They found the answer in each other's eyes simultaneously. For years ago, August 30th. Wasn't that the date on the condom purchase in Cole's phone? To make sure he wasn't mistaken, Cole pulled out his phone and searched his delivery app history. The purchase date was right there on the screen. No doubt about it. That was the night he'd bought a mountain of them, clearing out the supermarket's entire stock of every brand's XL size. The memory was terrifying in its intensity. Cora tapped her chopsticks on the table, analyzing. On August 30th, we came here for dinner. You forgot your cane. I went with you to your place that evening. At 11:30 p.m., you ordered condoms on your phone. That was the night our relationship started. Cole nodded, mentally calculating when Cora must have gotten pregnant. Cora's attention, however, had drifted to something else. Cole was still using a cane back then, which meant his leg hadn't fully healed. Did that mean their position that night had been? Woman on top? Cole turned his head and saw Cora, lost in very serious thought. What are you thinking about? Cora snapped out of it and leaned in close, whispering in his ear. Later, try to probe a little. See if you can get some useful information out of her. Okay. The young waitress, Mia, quickly brought the cane out, wiping it down with a cloth as she walked. It's been in the storeroom for so long, it got a little dusty. This wasn't just any cane. One look told you it was custom-made for his height and build. The grip felt expensive to the touch. He had taken care of Jenna for a while, and she had used a similar cane for her physical therapy. They cost a few $1,000s. Cole stood up to take it. Thanks. I'd completely forgotten about it until you mentioned it. It has been 4 years, after all. It's normal that you forgot. She hadn't forgotten, mainly because they were the first truly beautiful couple she'd ever seen during her first summer job. The memory was seared into her mind. The girl was a talker. She glanced at Cole's leg. Your leg is all better now, right? It's fine now, so I don't need the cane anymore. Cole decided to test the waters. Could you tell me what you remember about that day? It was raining, and you and this lady came around the same time as today. It was a bit crowded, so you sat outside. The lady left first, then you left. The waitress thought hard. You seemed to be in a real hurry when you left. Could he not have been in a hurry? He'd left his cane behind. Thanks. Your reminder brought it all back. No problem. Enjoy your meal. Just call me if you need anything. The restaurant was getting busier, and the girl's aunt called her over to help. After the meal, Cole paid the bill, took a picture of the payment screen, and after they had walked a fair distance away, he used the app to send an extra $1,000 as a thank you. The owner heard the notification of the large payment and rushed out, but Cole and Cora were long gone. Cole examined the cane in his hand and found a single letter, C, carved into the inner side of the handle. Knowing himself, he knew he would never have spent so much money on a cane. It was highly likely that Cora had had it custom made for him. 4 years ago, just like today, Cora had been by his side. She was the one who had stayed with him during his darkest hour, caring for him, encouraging him. She was the one his grandmother had seen before she passed, and it was Cora who had helped handle the funeral arrangements. Aunt Carol had told him that although his grandmother hadn't seen him one last time, she had seen Cora, and it had fulfilled one of her dying wishes. After a full meal, a walk was in order. Cole looked at the lanterns lining the street. Want to go up the mountain and get some air? Cora asked, is it far? Not all. It's about a 20-minute drive, Cole said. I used to ride my bike up there all the time. People often set off fireworks, though probably not now. When New Year's comes, our family can go up there and set some off. Just as Cole had said, the drive wasn't long. The car wound its way up the mountain road and parked on the shoulder. From there, they had to walk. The mountain breeze was cool and refreshing. They were in luck. Just as they arrived, they saw fireworks from a wedding celebration bursting in the sky, painting it in brilliant colors. You couldn't see the stars from Denver at night, but the city lights were bright enough to make up for it. Every time he stood here looking at the lights in the distance, he would think of home. Among the thousands of lights, there is finally one lit for me. Grandma, I have a home here now. After the fireworks ended, they started to head back. Suddenly, Cora pulled him mysteriously toward the back seat. Get in. I want to show you something. Though he wasn't sure what she was up to, Cole obediently did as he was told. He opened the car door, and before he was even fully settled, Cora followed him in, pressing down on his shoulders and straddling his lap. The door clicked shut. She cupped his face, kissing him softly, then pulled something from her purse and placed it in his hand. What's this? In the dim light of the car's interior, Cole glanced down. Your XLs. I saw them in the break room in your office. Want to try one? Cora whispered in his ear. My period's over. With that one sentence, a current of heat shot through Cole's body. He clung to his last shred of sanity. Here. No one's around. The time, the place, the people, everything's perfect. Cora hooked a finger around his tie. Don't you want to? The last time, her period had forced him to hold back, and he'd been suppressing it for 4 or 5 days. Luckily, her cycle was regular and hadn't been delayed. It's not just you who's been holding back these past few days. Me too, honey. I want to recreate what happened that night 4 years ago. Maybe it will jog some kind of muscle memory, help us remember something. Cora was wearing a white dress today. The hem pulled on Cole's legs. His hand slipped under the fabric, gently closing around her calf. Cora shifted forward, her body pressing more intimately against his stomach. The spark ignited the flame in an instant. The wildness of the outdoors, so different from home, lacked privacy and a sense of security. But in the tense, thrilling environment, both adrenaline and dopamine flooded their systems. In the cramped space, he could almost hear the frantic beating of his own heart, feel his vessels constricting, his blood accelerating. Cora's actions made it clear she couldn't wait any longer. She pulled Cole's shirt out from his trousers. With the experience from last time, her fingers were deft on his belt. With a single click, the buckle was undone. For more privacy, Cole turned off the car's interior lights. They explored each other's bodies in the dark. Cora fumbled with the buttons on Cole's shirt, struggling for what felt like an eternity. Just as she was about to resort to brute force, Cole stopped her hand. "Let me," he said. It was his own shirt, after all. He undid the buttons in seconds. The moment his chest was bare, a small hand began to explore it, tracing a path from top to bottom, then back up again, finally coming to rest at his throat. Cole's Adam's apple bobbed, the itch of desire becoming unbearable. Cora guided Cole's hand to her back. "The zipper's here." His fingers followed the line of the dress upwards until he found the hidden pull tab. It slid down as smoothly as silk. The sudden coolness on her back made Cora flinch, and she accidentally bumped her head. Thump! Cole immediately reached up to feel her head. "Does it hurt?" Instead of answering, Cora silently moved her hand down to Cole's lap. "I'm the one who bumped my head. How come you're the one with the swelling?" Cole sucked in a sharp breath, his breathing growing ragged. He tilted his head up and accurately found her mouth, sealing it with his own. One hand cradled the back of her head while the other slid down her back, unfastening the final barrier. As he kissed her again and again, Cora's breathing grew uneven, her body turning soft and pliant. She clung to his shoulders, panting lightly. "Do you even know what recreate means? To recreate something, you need a reference, don't you? With no memory, how do you expect to recreate anything?" Cole's words were a low murmur, but his hands never stopped, teasing and stroking her. Cora's voice trembled, her breath catching. "We can analyze it slowly. Your leg wasn't better then, so I must have been the one to initiate." As she spoke, her hands began to roam, her hands and mouth working in tandem, moving from his warm lips to his ear. "I think we were in this position that day, too." Cole made it clear he wasn't interested in slowing down or analyzing anything. He buried his face in the crook of her neck, nipping at her shoulder. The dress slipped down, pooling in layers at her waist like a white camellia blooming in the mist. Boom, boom, boom. For a moment, it was impossible to tell if the sound was the fireworks outside or the beating of their own hearts. The string holding his reason in place finally snapped. Cole seized her lips, his kiss less a kiss and more a hunt. Cora experienced a pleasure she had never known, a current of sensation like 1,000 ants crawling over every nerve ending. It was pain and pleasure, a desire to both accept and refuse. Cole's core was strong, his movements powerful. He poured all his energy into her, a tempestuous storm, a great wave washing over the sand. Outside, the fireworks bloomed, and on him, so did Cora. He felt like he was sinking into a cloud of soft, sweet cream, completely losing himself. Half an hour later, Cole found a pack of wet wipes to clean Cora up. She was curled in his arms like a kitten, unable to care for herself. He wiped her down from her neck to her knees. Cora buried her face in his chest, trembling. He soothed her as he gathered the dress from the floor. She was drained of all strength, her body slick with sweat that had dried and then returned. Her hair was plastered to her temples. Once the dress was back on, she quickly opened the window for a breath of fresh air. The fireworks outside had ended. Cole found their rings on the car's door panel and put his back on. "I'll drive. Where are you sitting?" "Don't want to move," Cora said, her voice weak. "I'll just stay here." Her voice was raw and husky. After making sure the back seat was clean, Cole got out and moved to the driver's seat. It was an hour's drive home. He glanced in the rearview mirror and saw that Cora had already closed her eyes and fallen asleep. She wasn't sure if it was because her 30-year-old body lacked exercise and stamina, or if her age was simply catching up to her, but Cora felt exhausted, the kind of bone-deep weariness that comes after running a marathon. When they arrived home, Cole got out and went to pick Cora up. The moment his hands slid under her legs, she woke up. She hooked her arms around his neck, mumbling, "Are we home?" Cole lifted her into his arms. "Yeah, we're home." "What time is it?" "Almost midnight." "It's so late." Cora yawned, tears welling at the corners of her eyes. At this hour, Mom, Dad, and Leo are all asleep. "So?" Cora's eyes widened, her pupils as clear as water. "No one will disturb us." Cole carried her all the way to the bedroom, kissing her before he even set her down. The lock clicked shut, and the room filled with wet, sticky sounds. The fire was easily reignited, spreading to the walls, the sofa, the desk, the bed, the bathroom. She had lost count of how many times it had been. Cora went from silent endurance to tearful begging. Her toes curled. She tried to escape, but Cole was like a giant net, trapping her completely. Even as he moved, he was counting. This is the 7th time. 3 more to go. Cora's mind was a fog. 3 more what? The number of times you've lit a fire under me these past few days. Banking on the fact that he wouldn't touch her during her period, Cora had been acting with impunity for days. Her tone was sincere. "I was wrong. If you're wrong, you accept the punishment. And I haven't even calculated the interest yet." Tonight, Cora profoundly understood the meaning of "you reap what you sow." The fires you start will eventually burn you. It's Friday. No work tomorrow. After he said that, Cora knew they might be up until dawn. Back in bed from the shower, Cora was too tired to even lift a finger. She had meant to just catch her breath, but the moment she closed her eyes, she was asleep. Cole emerged from the bathroom with a towel wrapped around his waist. He sat on the edge of the bed, studying her sleeping face. He searched his mind for a word to describe her and landed on one. A cream puff. Soft, white, sweet. He gently touched her soft cheek. Cora frowned, murmuring in her sleep, "I can't. Really, I can't do it anymore." A corner of Cole's mouth lifted into a smile. The scent of their lovemaking still lingered in the room. He located the source, tied up the trash bag, and put it on the balcony. He put a new bag in the can and opened all the windows to air the room out. After all that, Cole had a drink of water and then carefully climbed into bed, pulling her, comforter and all, into his arms. When she woke up, it was to complete darkness. The heavy curtains were drawn tight, making it impossible to tell if it was day or night. Cole had woken up first and was watching her. Cora's back was to him, her arms and legs exposed outside the covers. A distinct mark was visible on her pale shoulder. She wouldn't be wearing dresses for a little while. Cole shifted slightly and reached for his phone on the nightstand. 8 o'clock. On a normal day, he would have already dropped Leo off at school. Luckily, it was Saturday. He put the phone down and stared at the ceiling, chasing away the last of his sleepiness. Suddenly, Cora rolled over, turning toward him. A second later, her arm and leg were draped over him with practiced familiarity. He had changed her into a loose, cool nightgown after a shower. Now it was bunched up around her waist, her smooth leg resting against his, their skin touching. Cole took a deep breath, telling himself to play the long game. Fortunately, he had grown accustomed to patience and restraint these past few days. He took her leg and gently placed it back under the covers, then slowly slid to the side and got out of bed. He changed and went downstairs. Leo was already up and eating at the table. Seeing Cole alone, Leo asked, "Dad, where's Mom?" "Mom's still sleeping." Hearing that his mom was sleeping in, Leo pointed to the shrimp dumplings on the table. "Let's save the shrimp dumplings for Mom. They're her favorite." Apparently, this wasn't the first time Cora had slept late. Leo seemed completely used to it. Cole finished his breakfast and went back upstairs, opening the door very quietly. Cora was still sound asleep. Without Cole as her large pillow, she was hugging the comforter, most of her body exposed, the nightgown hiked up to her lower back. She was so pale that any mark on her skin was incredibly conspicuous. He had been relatively restrained last night, at least enough not to leave marks on her neck. Other places, however, were a different story, like her waist and thighs hidden by clothes. He walked over and touched her cool feet, then pulled a section of the comforter up to cover her. While Cora slept, he sat on the sofa, looking through documents and handling work. In the middle of it, his assistant called. Cole went out to the balcony to take the call. "What is it?" "Mr. Miller, we've heard from Mr. Wallace again. He's asking what you've decided. They don't want to give up on the partnership and would like to schedule another meeting to discuss it." Cole said, "No need to talk. Just give them a direct answer." To turn down such a lucrative opportunity would seem like a waste of money, But Cole hadn't gotten into the restaurant business to make a fortune in the first place. He'd done the math. The profit margins were low. A $10 all-you-can-eat buffet with over 50 dishes was affordable for everyone in the current economy. His initial goal had been to provide for the nearby workers. He never expected it to become so popular, with people making special trips to visit. That's how the chain started, and now they were all over Denver. Delicious, affordable, and healthy, a favorite among the public. Understood. I'll reply to them right away. After hanging up, the assistant immediately relayed the message to Mr. Wallace. When Mr. Wallace saw the message, his face darkened. If the previous rejection had been tactful, this one was decisive. There was no room for negotiation. The assistant's message was polite but cold. Mr. Wallace was disappointed. He had prepared for this partnership for a long time and had finally secured a meeting, only to be shot down before he could even get started. He tried to figure out what had gone wrong. He was an arrogant man and didn't even consider that the fault might lie with him. His vice president, Mr. Peterson, offered a suggestion. Could it be about that woman with you, Wendy? The sudden mention of Wendy made Mr. Wallace pause. He rested his hand on his executive chair. What do you mean? Mr. Peterson said. Wendy's mood was off during dinner that day. She ran off before we even started. The way she looked, it was obvious she knew Cole Miller. Mr. Wallace's face was grim. She said she didn't know him. And you believe her just because she said so? Mr. Peterson gave him a strange look, clearly finding him ridiculous. He scoffed. She's been with you for a while now. Have you ever looked into her background? Mr. Wallace, I have to warn you, be careful of a fire in your own backyard. Mr. Wallace frowned, his expression calm, but his mind in turmoil. He narrowed his eyes, recalling Wendy's behavior over the past few days. She had indeed been different, distracted, and lost in thought whenever she was with him. Mr. Peterson added, isn't there a charity gala coming up in Denver? A lot of important people will be there. Cole Miller will definitely be in attendance. Whether Cole attended or not, Mr. Wallace would be there. Events like these were just networking opportunities disguised as charity. After Mr. Peterson left, Mr. Wallace immediately called Wendy. When she answered, he asked, what are you doing? I'm out shopping. Come back to the hotel and wait for me. Wendy paused. Now. Mr. Wallace, yes. Okay, I'll head back now. It didn't take long for Wendy to return. She entered the hotel room, put down her bag as usual, and turned to see Mr. Wallace sitting by the window, smoking. Mr. Wallace. The room was silent, the atmosphere unnervingly oppressive. Sensing something was wrong, Wendy spoke with caution. He called me back. Is something wrong? As a competent mistress, she had to constantly read her benefactor's mood and react accordingly. Mr. Wallace didn't beat around the bush. The deal with Mr. Miller is off. I've been thinking it over, and I believe the problem is you. I don't want to ask him directly, so I'm asking you. Tell me the truth. Did you do something to offend him? Wendy's heart pounded. Her eyes darted around frantically, not knowing where to look. In just a few seconds, her palms were slick with sweat. Should I really tell him? With Mr. Wallace's vengeful personality, would she even survive if she told the truth? Mr. Wallace's gaze swept over her. He crushed the cigarette, but in his hand, flicked the ash from his fingers, and threatened. If you tell me now, I might consider letting you off the hook. But if I find out you've been hiding things and lying to me, then don't blame me for what happens next. I'll make sure you understand what facing the consequences means. Her heart dropped when he couldn't handle the pressure and fell to her knees. Mr. Wallace, I'll talk. It's true, Cole Miller and I know each other. When he didn't dare hide anything. She told him about changing her name and her face, about her son Sean, and about the wedding she tried to ruin 5 years ago. Mr. Wallace sat opposite her without a word, his expression growing darker by the second. So the problem really was Wendy. If he had known, he never would have brought her. She had ruined a perfectly good deal. Mr. Wallace stared at her coldly, not missing a single flicker of expression on her face. He saw her hesitate, her eyes betraying her fear. Is that all? Yes. That's everything, Wendy said, her guilt obvious. One look at her face and Mr. Wallace knew she wasn't being honest. There was clearly more to the story. A surge of rage boiled up inside him. He took a few steps forward and kicked her to the ground. Wendy cried out in pain, clutching her stomach, her lips trembling as she looked up at the man before her, tears in her eyes. Her legs were too weak to stand. She pushed herself backward on the floor. Mr. Wallace, you still dare to hide things from me? Wendy, you really aren't afraid of pain or death, are you? Mr. Wallace grabbed her by the chin, the toe of his shoe pressing down on her fingers, grinding it into the floor. Wendy screamed again, crying and apologizing, repeating "I'm sorry" over and over. The hotel walls were soundproofed. No one would hear her screams. Wendy was terrified. Under Mr. Wallace's relentless interrogation, she confessed everything that had happened in the past. After hearing the full story, Mr. Wallace was stunned. He stumbled back a few steps, his mind screaming, "It's over." He had suspected there was some bad blood, but he never imagined it involved someone's life. No wonder Cole Miller's attitude had changed so drastically after seeing Wendy. If it had been him, he probably would have exploded on the spot. Cole Miller's composure was truly remarkable. Mr. Wallace gritted his teeth. "Why didn't you tell me this when I asked you that day?" Wendy sobbed. "I was scared. It had been quiet for a few days. She had thought the storm had passed." Mr. Wallace let out a few cold, chilling laughs, then pulled off his belt. It cracked through the air, whack, striking Wendy's body. He may have liked Wendy, but in the face of profit, a woman was worthless. Wendy had not only offended Cole Miller, but the Vance family as well. If he had known, he never should have brought this curse to Denver. Mr. Wallace unleashed all his fury on her. The passion he had once felt for her was now replaced by an equal measure of hate. To salvage the business deal, he was going to sacrifice her. When he was beaten black and blue. At first, she could still scream for help, but eventually, her breaths grew shallow, and she lay on the floor, barely conscious. Cora woke up at 11, her entire body aching, especially her thighs and lower back. It felt like she'd been beaten up, a moment of pleasure, a world of pain after. Recalling the scenes from last night, they had used up an entire box of 001s. By the end, her vision had blurred, and she felt like she was dying. At first, she had the strength to try and escape, but Cole would just drag her back every time, teasing her mercilessly, leaving her at his mercy. What else could she do? She could only surrender. A man with too much stamina was also a problem. She could barely handle it. Cora rolled over and fumbled for her phone on the nightstand. She glanced at the time. It was already noon. She had never slept in this late. Cora stared at the ceiling, resigned. It's already this late. A little later won't hurt. I need to recover first. She opened her phone and searched for how to deal with a man who lasts too long, looking for any healthy methods of suppression. A video popped up explaining that cilantro was known in folklore as libido killer grass. Cole doesn't seem to like cilantro, she recalled. The bedroom door opened. Cora instinctively looked over, and when she saw it was Cole, she burrowed back under the covers. Cole walked straight to the bed. Still not awake? It's time for lunch. Cora couldn't help but bury her face in the bedding. A few seconds later, the comforter was pulled away. She opened her eyes to meet Cole's smiling face, radiating the sated satisfaction of a man who had feasted well. She had thought he was a shy puppy, but it turned out he was a big bad wolf. Cole sat down on the bed. "Are you still sore?" The air still seemed thick with the scent of passion. Cora stared at his face, feeling a little dazed. She had intended to say she was fine, but what came out was, "You were too rough last night. I can't really take it. My body is still sore and numb." Cole had checked her over when he'd given her a bath last night. There were no injuries. But hearing her say she was uncomfortable now made him panic. "Should I take you to the hospital?" Cora blushed. "No, that's not necessary. Just be a little gentler next time." Go to the hospital for something like this would be mortifying. For Cole, it was his first time. The first time doing something like this, it was inevitable he'd be a little clumsy and greedy. The feeling was too wonderful, like floating on a cloud. Once you fell in, it was hard to pull yourself out. He loved Cora, was madly addicted to her. Even though Cora said she couldn't handle it, he knew she had enjoyed it last night too. So his promises to change were mostly empty words. The curtains weren't fully drawn, and a sliver of light streamed in, leaving the room half lit, like the transition between day and night. Cole's gaze swept over Cora's body from head to toe. His stare made Cora feel uneasy, as if he were peeling back the covers and stripping her bare. After a moment, Cole slid his hand under the comforter. Cora flinched but didn't pull away, letting his hand come to rest on her waist. "What are you doing?" "Giving you a massage. A hot compress and a rub should help." Cole's fingers began to move. Cora gradually lost control. When he touched a certain spot, a low moan escaped her lips. Cole found a bottle of essential oil, lifted the comforter, and slipped the nightgown off her body. Cora turned her back to him, her face turned to the side. Cole used to massage his grandmother often and had learned some techniques. His pressure was just right, comfortable and soothing. His fingertips moved from the dimples of her lower back slowly upward. His pupils grew darker. Last night, he had finally discovered what that body razor was for. And it was precisely because he knew that he had lost control. The thought that he had used it to shave his face was both embarrassing and amusing. Now, whenever he thought of that kind of razor, his mind turned to erotic things. After a little while, a thin layer of sweat broke out on Cora's skin, and she could feel the soreness in her muscles easing. Cora rested her head on the pillow and glanced down at Cole's lap. How was he getting worked up again? Didn't he eat his fill all night? Other men's 30s seemed different from his. Just as Cole had said before, his prime years, strong in all aspects. And strong he was. Fearing a spark might ignite another fire, Cora pressed her legs together and grabbed her nightgown. That's enough. We should go down for lunch. She had only had some Gatorade since waking up. She wasn't starving, but she felt weak. Cole pulled her nightgown back down and opened the closet. What do you want to wear? You pick. Dresses were probably out of the question. Cole found a long-sleeve pajama set that would cover her arms and legs. The fabric was breathable and wouldn't be too hot for the season. He'd seen and touched everything last night, so he didn't need to look away while his wife changed. He could even help her. He buttoned her top, then started to put on the pants. Cora snatched the pants from his hand. I can do it myself. After getting dressed, Cora went to the bathroom. The sound of running water filled the air. Her hair was up in a claw clip, a few loose strands tucked behind her ear. She looked beautiful even without trying, a natural beauty. Cora had expected to look terrible after staying up nearly all night and crying so much. But when she looked in the mirror, her complexion was glowing. Her face was flushed, her eyes bright and clear. She noticed the skincare products on the counter had been moved and realized Cole must have done her skincare routine for her after a shower last night. It was a small detail many people wouldn't think of. Cora hummed happily. Cole leaned against the doorframe. Are you that happy? Cora applied eye cream. The easiest way to be happy is to eat, drink, and be merry. I've eaten my fill and played my fill, so of course I'm happy. It was another kind of fulfillment. Physical pleasure trumped all else. Just being with him, doing nothing, made her happy. Downstairs, Leo was playing with Daisy in the yard. Eleanor was on her phone, and Robert was watching TV. Eleanor's screen was on Jenna's profile. She wanted to call and check on her, but she was afraid she wouldn't know what to say. The housekeeper and chef brought the dishes to the table. Eleanor got up and went to the yard to call Leo. Leo, time for lunch. Go wash your hands. Okay. Leo called Daisy over. Come on, Uncle Daisy, let's go. The boy and the dog came inside. After washing his hands, Leo saw Cora. Mom, when did you get up? She had to maintain some motherly dignity in front of her son. I got up this morning. Then why didn't you come down for breakfast? I ate. Your dad fed me. As she said this, Cora glanced at Cole beside her. Leo's eyes widened. Mom, you're a grown-up and you still need Dad to feed you? Cora spun a tail with a straight face. Because I didn't want to move, so I had your dad feed me. Okay, that's enough talk. Let's eat. We can talk about it after lunch. Okay. Leo scurried ahead and was the first one to sit at the table. She hadn't felt hungry before, but now, seeing the food on the table and smelling the aroma, her stomach started to rumble. Cole knew Cora's habits. If there was soup, she would have it first. So he ladled a bowl of soup for her. Leo ate while his eyes darted around. I haven't seen Aunt Jenna these past few days. Is she at work or out having fun? The moment he spoke, a brief silence fell over the table. Cole carefully deboned a piece of fish and placed it in Cora's bowl. Cora said, Mom, Dad, I've decided to take Leo back to Clearwater to live for a while. Clearwater was Cora and Cole's marital home, not far from here. Considering her parents liked Cole and they were getting older, the couple had decided to move in with them after Cora gave birth. They had been living here for 3.5 years, only going back to Clearwater during Leo's school breaks. Hearing Cora say she wanted to move back to Clearwater, Eleanor was taken aback. It's not summer vacation yet. Why the sudden decision to move back? Robert also put down his chopsticks and looked at them. Cora didn't answer her mother's question. Instead, she turned to Leo. Leo, do you want to live with Grandpa and Grandma? Or come back to Clearwater with us? Leo thought for a moment. I'll go with Mom and Dad. I'll live wherever Mom and Dad live. Although he loved his grandparents, if he had to choose, he would rather be with his parents. Mom, it's decided. I'm taking Leo and moving over in the next couple of days. Once Cora made a decision, no one could change it. Eleanor was worried. She knew they were only leaving temporarily, but the thought of not seeing Leo made her feel like a piece of her heart was missing, leaving an empty void. How long will you be gone? When will you be back? Cora said, I'm not sure yet. Let's talk after we eat. Some things couldn't be discussed in front of a child. After lunch, Cora told Leo to take Daisy outside to play. Once he was gone, Eleanor's voice was anxious and urgent. Cora, why are you suddenly talking about moving out? Have you considered our feelings? It's precisely because I have considered them that I've decided to move out with Leo for a while. Cora never dragged things out. She took out her phone and played a recording. You should listen to this first. Cole, standing beside her, was startled. The recording was of what Jenna had said in his office yesterday. He hadn't realized Cora had secretly recorded it. At first, Eleanor frowned in confusion, but as she listened, her face turned pale. Robert's expression became grim. Cole, I still can't get over you. Eleanor looked at her in disbelief. How could she? Didn't she say she had moved on? As if to prove something, she grabbed her husband's hand. Robert, you know this too. Jenna has a boyfriend. She even showed us a picture. How could she still be thinking about? Even now, Eleanor was trying to defend Jenna. Cora scoffed. Mom, you know I would never stoop so low as to slander her or something like this. Jenna says she has a boyfriend, and you just believe her? Or she just said that to lower our guard. Eleanor argued. I video chatted with her boyfriend. These days, you can create AI deepfakes that are completely convincing. If she has the money, she could even rent a man to play the part. Mom, I can understand your feelings, but I can't be expected to sympathize. I'm not just your daughter. I'm also Leo's mother and Cole's wife. I can't be nice to someone who covets my husband and is constantly trying to destroy my family. As the saying goes, if you don't make a clean break, you'll only cause more trouble. She wouldn't give Jenna any opportunity to wedge herself in, nor did she have the time or energy to play the part of a loving sister for her parents' sake. She could be understanding towards people she loved. But for someone like Jenna, who harbored ill intentions and refused to change, why should she sacrifice her own happiness to make Jenna happy? A soft heart was like handing someone a knife to stab you with. Mom, as a mother, it's understandable that you can't bear to part with your daughter. That's why Cole and I have decided to take Leo and move back to Clearwater to give you the space to have a good talk with Jenna. Eleanor's eyes turned red. She was about to say something, but Robert placed a hand on her shoulder. After a long silence, he said, You guys go ahead and stay at Clearwater for a while. Your mother and I will handle things here at home. When it's all settled, I'll let you know, and then you can decide if you want to come back. How would they solve it? It was impossible to make Jenna forget Cole in a short amount of time. Over the past 5 years, they had probably yelled and punished her. If you can't solve the problem, then solve the person causing the problem. Eleanor was an emotional person, too soft-hearted. It caused trouble not only for herself, but for those around her, and she knew it. She frowned, feeling weary at the mere thought of Jenna. Why had their family become like this? It had been so long. What was there to hold on to? Why was Jenna still so obsessed with Cole? If she loved him so much, why hadn't she cherished him back then? Or was it that she couldn't stand to see others happy? She had raised this daughter with her own hands, only to realize in the end that she didn't know her at all. Human nature was contradictory and complex, sincerity hidden within affectation, nobility mixed with baseness, and even evil containing a sliver of good. Sometimes what was called love was nothing more than jealousy and resentment. Eleanor's heart grew cold. She fought to keep the tears from falling. Cora's heart ached for her mother, but if she didn't make things clear now, it would only get worse, like a ticking time bomb. Suddenly, a loud shout came from the yard. The sound pierced through the glass, and Cole was the first to react, rushing outside. What is it, Leo? What happened? In the yard, Daisy was lying on the ground. Leo knelt beside him, frantic. Dad, come quick. What's wrong with Uncle Daisy? Cole's heart seized, a wave of ice washing over him. The sound seemed to carry a chill that seeped through his pores, into his blood, straight to his heart. Daisy lay motionless on the ground, eyes shut tight, looking for all the world as if he were dead. He had been fine just a moment ago. How could he have suddenly collapsed? Cole couldn't believe what he was seeing. He staggered forward, and just as he was about to kneel and check, Daisy's eyes snapped open. Daisy! Cole was truly terrified. His face had gone pale. Leo giggled mischievously. Dad, you fell for it. Uncle Daisy was just playing dead. Cole hadn't recovered from the shock. He looked dazed, a cold sweat on his back. Perhaps sensing his distress, Daisy acted like a child who had done wrong. He got up, wagged his tail, and licked Cole's hand appeasingly. Cole let out a breath and patted Leo's head. You two scared the life out of me. He had almost forgotten that playing dead was Daisy's signature trick, one that he himself had taught him. He never thought it would one day be used to scare him. Sorry, I was wrong, Leo said, clutching his head. Dad, Uncle Daisy's acting is so good. I think he could be an actor. Leo's interruption eased the tense atmosphere. I think you'd be a good actor too, Cole said, scooping him up. It's time for your nap. Leo flailed his arms. I don't want to sleep. If you don't sleep, I won't take you out to play this afternoon. The mention of playing was enough to make Leo cooperate instantly. Can we bring Uncle Daisy? Yes. Seeing that everything was fine in the yard, everyone breathed a sigh of relief. Eleanor looked at Leo, her heart full of reluctance. She wanted to persuade Cora and Cole to stay, but she didn't know how to start. Robert put his arm around her shoulder and whispered, "Clearwater isn't far. If you miss Leo, I'll go with you to visit. Let's solve this problem first. Before it's solved, let's not make things difficult for them." Over the years, Cole and Cora had already compromised a lot for them. The only thing they could do as parents was to be fair. The thought of Jenna ignited a fire of anger in Robert. He wanted to drag her over right now, give her a beating, and then throw her out of the country. Out of sight, out of mind. If he had known she would be like this, he never would have let her come back. Robert asked Cole, "Cole, when are you moving?" "Cora wants to move tomorrow. The place at Clearwater needs to be cleaned first." Robert asked, "Have you already arranged for someone to clean it?" Cole nodded. "Yes." "Then move fast," Robert thought. "Dad, Mom, if you need anything, just call me. We'll come back to visit often." Robert wasn't as calm as he appeared. With Cole gone, he would have no one to play chess and drink tea with, no one to go fishing with, not even someone to discuss business with. Robert sighed. "Where are you guys going this afternoon?" "To the dog park. Leo wants to take Daisy out." Cole asked, "Dad, want to come with us?" "I'll pass." Robert wasn't in the mood. He felt his blood pressure rising. Forget playing. He could barely walk. All he wanted to do was lie down. Since he wasn't going, Cole didn't press him. "Rest well at home. If you need anything, just text me, and I'll bring it back for you." Robert nodded. He decided that as soon as Cole and the others left, he would call Jenna and tell her to come home tomorrow night. It was better to solve problems sooner rather than later. Dragging it out would do no one any good. Leo had claimed he wouldn't sleep, but he was out for an hour as soon as he hit the bed, and nothing could wake him. His little face was flushed from sleep. He opened his foggy eyes, pouting, clearly unhappy about not getting enough sleep. "I want to sleep more." "Then go ahead and sleep. Your mom and I will take Daisy to the park." "The park?" Hearing those words, Leo was instantly awake. He shot up in bed. "That's right, we're going to the dog park. There are lots of other dogs and lots of good food and fun things to do." "I want to go." Cole urged the little boy on. "Then hurry up and get dressed. If you're late, we're leaving without you." Leo jumped out of bed barefoot, shedding his clothes in a flash. As he scrambled to get dressed, he yelled, "Don't leave me behind." Leo got dressed and put on his little backpack, which contained bug spray, iodine swabs, and Band-Aids. Since Daisy was going too, he also stuffed some pet treats in his backpack. The family of 3, plus their dog, set off. On a weekend, the dog park was full of dogs. Daisy didn't like playing with other dogs, but other dogs liked to play with him. Daisy lay on the ground, his eyes darting around warily. Cole held his leash, giving him water and treats to calm him down. Daisy soon adapted to the new environment and began to tentatively interact with the other dogs, even initiating play. But Daisy still preferred to be around people. Some habits were hard to break, like rummaging through trash cans for bottles. Or if he saw someone drinking water, he would stare at the bottle in their hand. The moment they threw it away, he would chase after it. If you didn't throw it for him, he would get upset. Cole spoiled him, and Leo was even worse. He followed Daisy around with a bag, collecting the bottles Daisy found. They usually gave the collected bottles to the sanitation workers to sell. After playing for a while, Leo sat on a bench, drinking water. "Dad, why are we moving to Clearwater? You don't want to go?" Leo lowered his head. "I'm just a little sad to leave Grandpa and Grandma. If you miss them, I can bring you back to see them anytime." Cole stroked his head. "And they can come to Clearwater to see you." It wasn't like they hadn't stayed there before. Leo thought for a moment and then asked, "Is Uncle Daisy coming with us?" "Yes." After a short break, Leo ran off to play again. Cora leaned against Cole. Cole looked down at her. "Are you still feeling sore?" "Not anymore." Cora stretched her legs. There was still some discomfort, but it was bearable. Thinking back on the dreams she used to have, some are even more intense than this. Reflecting on the day's events, Cole took Cora's hand, lacing his fingers with hers. "I didn't expect you to just come out and say it." When Cora had played the recording without a second thought, even he had been surprised. But more than surprise, he felt a sense of security, because Cora had chosen him. Cora leaned on his shoulder. Why go through all the trouble when a single sentence can solve the problem? You know, a lot of problems are created by dragging things out. The more you bottle it up, the angrier you get. The more you step back, the more you lose. People can make a case even when they're wrong. So why should you be merciful when you're right? That was true. Cora continued. If we didn't tell Mom and Dad, the problem would be between us, something we'd have to solve ourselves. It would be a waste of time and energy, and we'd end up pleasing no one. But now it's different. The problem has been transferred to our parents. It's called escalating the conflict when you can't resolve it. Instead of draining yourself, outsource the drama to others. Letting their parents handle this kind of problem was the best solution. If they still couldn't solve it, then she would resort to violence. By the time she beat Jenna half to death, her parents wouldn't have a word to say. After all, she had given them a chance. Meanwhile, a temporary silence had fallen over the Vance house. Robert took out his phone and dialed Jenna's number. When she didn't answer, he called again. After 5 consecutive calls, she finally picked up. Robert suppressed his anger and asked coldly, "What took you so long to answer?" Jenna explained, "I accidentally put my phone on silent. I want you home tomorrow evening." Jenna paused before saying, "I don't have time these next couple of days. You just got back. What could you possibly be busy with? I tell you to come home, and you dither." Robert's voice grew impatient. "It's settled. Tomorrow at 7 in the evening, you will be home. Your mother misses you. If you don't come back, you can forget about ever coming back." He hung up immediately. Putting the phone down, he met Eleanor's troubled gaze. He explained, "I'll lure her here first. What if she doesn't come? Then I'll find someone to drag her back. She's been nothing but trouble since she was a child." Eleanor was deeply worried. "I really don't know what to do with her." Robert gently patted her shoulder. "If you don't want to face it, leave it to me." Running away was shameful, but worked. For someone with a weaker constitution, avoidance was a form of self-preservation. Eleanor asked Robert how he planned to solve the problem. He didn't know either. At his age, he had faced all sorts of challenges. Countless messes at the company, treacherous traps in business negotiations, but all of them combined weren't as vexing as this. Robert saw things with crystal clarity. He knew Jenna would never change. If she could have, she would have in the past 5 years. When exposed, she would only say sorry, then repeat her mistakes, becoming even worse. We've already given her a chance. She's the one who didn't cherish it. Do you want what happened 4 years ago to happen again? Eleanor's face was grim as she shook her head. Robert was more resilient than Eleanor. Today's events had surprised him, but it wasn't a bolt from the blue. Over the years, he had braced himself for Jenna's antics time and time again. After hearing that recording, "I've completely lost all trust in her. A leopard can't change its spots. She's counting on us being soft-hearted. That's why she's so brazen." After her father's call, Jenna felt a sudden wave of unease. She had just seen Cole yesterday, and today her dad was calling her. Could it be a coincidence? A guilty conscience knows its own crime. Jenna was on edge, trying to think of an excuse to get out of it. As she racked her brain, her phone rang again. Jenna looked at the caller ID, and her mind went blank for a moment. She answered the phone. "Sean, let's meet. If you're not willing, then I'll have to come find you at your house." Over the phone, Sean's voice was tense, not a request, but a command. Jenna gripped her phone, a cold smile forming on her lips. "Fine, I'll come to you. Send me your address." Sean sounded incredulous. "You're coming to my place?" "Why not?" Jenna's voice was syrupy sweet. "I'll come bring you some warmth, buy you whatever you need. After all, you're not who you used to be." After a moment of silence, Sean agreed. "I'll send you the address. You can come over." Not long after she hung up, a location pin arrived via text. Jenna opened it and saw that it was the same neighborhood where Cole used to live, the Baker neighborhood, with its low property values, remote location, and old streets. Everything reminded Jenna of Cole now. She thought of him when she ate, when she slept, even when she looked at the trees outside. Psychologically, when a cherished relationship is threatened, it can lead to obsession and madness. She felt like she was indeed going mad. Even after all the harsh things Cole had said to her, she was still willing. Jenna was in a foul mood and desperately needed an outlet. She changed her clothes and looked at herself in the mirror. Her face was haggard, with faint dark circles under her eyes and visible red veins in her eyes. The slaps from Cora hadn't healed, and the sun exposure over the past 2 days had caused a red, allergic reaction. She carefully covered it with foundation and applied lipstick to make herself look better. Instead of going straight to Sean's, Jenna rented 2 bodyguards and had them drive her to his house. Standing at his door, she confirmed the apartment number and knocked. Before the door even opened, she heard Sean's voice. "What took you so long? Do you know how long I've been waiting?" With a creak, the door opened, and Sean's expression froze. "Why did you bring people with you? Who are they?" Sean had been beaten up regularly in prison and was highly sensitive to atmosphere. He could clearly sense danger now. Before he could react, Jenna kicked his leg. Sean stumbled back. He was about to retaliate when the 2 towering bodyguards grabbed him. Jenna crossed her arms and stood leisurely in front of him. "Kneel." Of course, Sean refused, glaring at her with venom. Jenna gestured with her eyes to the bodyguards. One of them kicked the back of his knee. Sean lost his balance, his knees slamming onto the floor. Jenna, what are you doing? Don't you get it? Jenna slapped him across the face. I'm bringing you some warmth. Weren't you so cocky on the phone? Slap. Did I give you permission to threaten me? What do you think you are? Slap. You really think you're something, don't you? You think you're still the young master of the Sullivan family. Slap. An ex-con. You're not even worthy of licking my shoes. With every word, Jenna slapped Sean, her palm burning from the force. She was using him as a free punching bag, venting all the frustration she had endured from Cora over the past 2 days. Sean had been her classmate, her first love. Their families were on a similar level. But now, things were different. The Sullivan family was bankrupt. Sean's father had died in prison. His mother had changed her name and run off, and his other relatives were scattered or dead. No one dared to have anything to do with him. Sean had no education, no character, a scarred face, and a permanent criminal record. It was a stain on his life that would follow him forever, even affecting the next generation. So, what did Sean have to compare with Jenna? Jenna stood before him, high and mighty, while Sean was forced to bow his head. He looked up, his eyes filled with a hatred and resentment that threatened to spill over. Jenna, if it weren't for you, I wouldn't be in prison. You ruined my family, you destroyed my life. Jenna scoffed. I destroyed you? This was Sean's usual tactic, blaming everyone else and absolving himself of all responsibility. He was the one who created the problem, yet he played the victim. Sean's face contorted with resentment. If I hadn't helped you run away from the wedding back then, would I have offended Cole Miller? Don't you dare use that to hold over me. Jenna's eyes were bloodshot as she screamed back. Yes, I wanted to run away with you, but I never told you to run over Cole. If it weren't for you, Cole's grandmother wouldn't have died. You're the one who owes Cole. Your family is the one who destroyed his. What happened to you is your own damn fault. On the day of the wedding 5 years ago, Cole's grandmother had called her. Sean had answered that call. The call log showed it was less than 10 minutes. In those few short minutes, something had happened to his grandmother. If it weren't for Sean, Cole's grandmother wouldn't have died, and she and Cole would never have reached this point. It was all because of Sean. He was a jinx. He had caused her to break her legs, and then he had convinced her to run away from the wedding. Why didn't he just die? Why hadn't he died in prison? Jenna gritted her teeth, her jaw tight. Her eyes were a dark, swirling mess of black and red, a mixture of regret and hatred. The look she gave Sean was that of a woman looking at a dead man. Have you heard of the gaslighting effect? To gently set you on fire, then calmly invite others to watch you explode, all while he remains the good-tempered, good-natured one, and you're the emotionally unstable lunatic. When Jenna had injured her legs, Sean had taken care of her in the hospital for a time. To the doctors and nurses, he was a patient saint. In reality, he pushed her boundaries time and again, and when she finally snapped, he would turn it back on her. Jenna used to think she was the one with the bad temper. Later, when she thought back on how Sean treated her, she realized he was always calmly and objectively invalidating her. Then, when she was hurt and angry, he would say, I'm just doing what's best for you. He knew she hated the heat, hated sweating, hated getting tanned, yet he would force her outside in the middle of a summer day to bake in the sun without any sunscreen, nearly causing her skin to peel off. He would ignore her protests, grinning and saying that you were supposed to get a lot of sun during the dog days of summer. When she couldn't walk, she didn't want to go out, afraid of being laughed at. Sean tricked her into going to a concert, had a group of people lift her up in her wheelchair, causing her immense humiliation and nearly making her fall out. Everyone said Sean was so good to her, that he was trying so hard to make it up to her. But his atonement was never what she wanted. When it came to caring for someone, Cole was never so self-centered. Cole would consider her feelings. He understood her likes and dislikes, knew her dietary restrictions. Even the way he stood was at a perfect distance, never too close to be annoying. Cole knew she didn't like to go out, so he never forced her. He would patiently talk to her, let her vent when she was angry, and tell her stories to cheer her up when she was sad. During that time, she felt like Cole was her shadow, that he would never leave her no matter what. But she had forgotten that even shadows disappear on a rainy day. She had been young and naive, unable to recognize PUA. By the time she realized it, it was too late. Jenna admitted she was also at fault, but she had been manipulated by Sean. In a way, she was a victim too. Why, in Cole's eyes, was she utterly irredeemable? It wasn't fair. Jenna kicked and punched Sean, cursing him. You dare threaten me? Have you taken a good look at yourself? If you think you have nothing to lose, then I don't mind chopping off both your feet. As she spoke, she glanced at Sean's feet, her gaze as sharp as a blade. Sean flinched. He was genuinely scared. He had been beaten so often in prison that all his sharp edges had been worn down. He had lost his old drive, his unwillingness to admit defeat. His expectations for himself had plummeted. He had learned to bow his head. Seeing Sean bowing his head to her, Jenna stepped on his head, grinding her heel down. Sean, do you know how much I despise you? Dating you is the biggest black mark on my entire life. I'm warning you, don't let me see you again. If you dare show your face in front of me again, I guarantee it won't be as simple as just a few kicks. Jenna removed her foot and gestured to the two bodyguards. Let's go. She had come in with a storm and left with a swagger, not giving Sean a second thought. After they were gone, Sean slowly lifted his head. He closed the door, and after a moment of silence, he went on a rampage, smashing everything in the room. The enclosed space echoed with deafening sounds as glass shattered everywhere. After venting his anger, the pain in his body returned. He gritted his teeth and called Wendy. He called 5 times, but no one answered. He was so angry he almost threw his phone. Why wasn't Wendy picking up all afternoon? Had something happened? On Sunday, Cole packed their luggage. It wasn't much, just 1 suitcase each. They had checked the Clearwater house last night. It was spotless, fully stocked. The housekeeper had even filled the fridge with groceries. Eleanor hadn't slept well all night. She looked listless in the morning, like a wilting flower in a vase. Seeing Leo, she forced a smile. Leo, did you sleep well last night? I slept great. Fell asleep as soon as my head hit the pillow, didn't even dream. How about you, Grandma? Did you sleep well? I slept well too. Leo was still young and couldn't always tell when someone was lying. He believed whatever his grandmother said. He went over and hugged her. Grandma, if you miss me, you can come see me. If I miss you, I'll come see you too. A wave of tenderness washed over Eleanor, and she hugged him tightly. It was only a temporary separation, but she felt like she might never see him again. Sigh. Old age makes you sentimental. Okay, Grandma will definitely come see you often. Leo said earnestly, you can also live with us. Eleanor was speechless. If she moved to Clearwater, what about Robert? Should he move too? Then what was the point of moving in the first place? I'm used to living here. I can't sleep well if I move. Footsteps came from upstairs. Eleanor looked up to see Cole carrying 2 suitcases down. When are you leaving? Cole put down the suitcases. After breakfast. You're not staying for lunch. No, Cole explained. We decided to take Daisy over early to get him used to the new place. They were leaving so soon, not even staying for lunch. Eleanor didn't say anything else, but she was worried about Leo. Let Aunt Carol go with you. You'll need someone to look after the child and help with the cooking. Knowing his mother-in-law was worried about him, Cole didn't refuse. Okay. Breakfast was unusually quiet. Eleanor kept piling food onto Leo's plate. Leo looked at the mountain of food and said with a grimace, Grandma, that's too much. I can't eat it all. Give it to me, Cole said, holding out his bowl. Leo picked out all the food he didn't like and put it in Cole's bowl. There! Cole had taught Leo to be independent, and at his young age, he sometimes acted like a little adult. Without needing to be told, he had packed his own things. First and foremost was his homework, then his toys. Since Daisy was coming with them, he had to pack his food and treats, and of course, Daisy's bed. The driver and the butler helped load the luggage into the car. Before leaving, Leo reminded his grandparents to take care of themselves. He gave each of them a hug and a kiss. Grandpa, I'll come back to see you during my school break. They couldn't even handle a few days of separation. What would they do when Leo went off to college in another state? The 2 elderly figures stood at the gate, watching them leave. As the car disappeared into the distance, Eleanor wiped away a tear. Robert was also misty-eyed. He hugged Eleanor. They'll be back once we've dealt with this mess. Eleanor was a sensitive soul, and as she got older, she tended to imagine the worst. Robert always consoled her, telling her they would be back once the problem was solved. But what if it wasn't? The Clearwater house wanted for nothing. It was clean and tidy. In terms of living conditions, it was actually more suitable for a couple. The house was a moderate size, not too big to feel empty. Every room was soundproofed, and the decor reflected their personal tastes. It was a smart home, and the power of technology was palpable from the moment they stepped inside. Clearwater had plenty of rooms, so they quickly converted one into a pet room. Leo took Daisy to explore their new surroundings, while Cole also needed to refamiliarize himself with the place. He walked around, looking at everything, not missing a single detail in the bedroom. In the study, he found a safe. It required a password to unlock, but the problem was the person who set the password was the 30-year-old Cole. Cole called Cora over. The couple stood before the safe, lost in thought. The safe should contain important things, right? Cora looked at Cole. What would you usually set as a password? Probably a birthday. Cora gestured. Try it. It was an 8-digit code, including 2 letters. Cole tried his bank password, plus his initials. It didn't open. It won't open. Cole turned the safe to Cora. You try. Maybe the things inside are yours. Cora took the safe and entered her usual passwords, plus her initials. The result was the same. Let's try Leo's birthday. Cora's fingers flew across the keypad. She entered the code and pressed unlock. The safe locked them out. They would have to wait 24 hours to try again. It did that. The two of them stared at each other. After a moment, Cole put the safe back in its place. We'll try again tomorrow. If that didn't work, they would have to resort to brute force, but for now it wasn't urgent. Back at the Vance house. At 4 in the afternoon, Robert called Jenna, telling her she absolutely had to come home today. If she didn't, he would personally go and get her. The thought of seeing Cole again made Jenna go to a salon to get her makeup done. After beating up Sean last night, she had had a rare good night's sleep, and her complexion had improved. The professional makeup artist's skills were far superior to her own, accentuating her features and making her look more refined. It was 6 o'clock when she arrived at the Vance house. As soon as she stepped inside, she sensed that something was off. It was too quiet. Wasn't it the weekend? Leo should be home at this hour. With a child around, the house should be lively, with everyone doting on him. But today, the whole house felt empty. She didn't see Cole or Cora, nor did she see Leo. Even Daisy was gone. The foot she had lifted to step inside retracted. Jenna hesitated, her instincts telling her there was danger inside and she shouldn't proceed. Just as she was about to retreat, the butler suddenly appeared behind her. "Miss Jenna, why aren't you coming in?" Jenna jumped, her heart pounding. She looked at the butler's smiling face and began to doubt herself. Was she just being paranoid? Why does it feel so quiet today? Not at all. It's the same as usual. Dinner is ready. We're just waiting for you. Where's Cole? Jenna subconsciously asked for Cole, then corrected herself. Where's my sister and the others? The young miss and the others went out tonight. Went out? Before she could think further, the butler had escorted her inside. It was still quiet inside. He had said they were waiting for her for dinner, but the dining table was bare. She could smell some cooking oil from the kitchen, though. Where are my parents? I don't see them. They're waiting for you inside. The butler pointed to the drawing room on the first floor. She was already inside. It was too late to escape, and she noticed that since she had entered, the front door had been blocked by other household staff. The butler was also standing behind her, as if to prevent her from running. The more they did this, the more nervous she became. Jenna forced herself to calm down and walked forward, steeling herself. The door was ajar. When she went in, she saw her parents immediately. "Dad, Mom, why did you call me back? Did you go see Cole in private?" Robert sat on the sofa, his brow furrowed. They knew. Under the pressure of her father's sharp gaze, Jenna lowered her head, staring at the floor. "Did Cora tell you something? I'm asking you a question. You just need to answer yes or no. The first person you mention is Cora. What? Are you trying to shift the blame to her?" Jenna's temper flared. "I did go see Cole, but so what? We've known each other for so long. I finally come back. Is it so wrong to want to catch up with an old friend? You can catch up with anyone, but not him." "Why not? Just because he's Cora's husband?" Jenna sneered. "You're even trying to control my social life now. Don't you think you're overstepping? How dare you speak to your father like that?" Eleanor, who had been silent, finally spoke, her voice choked with tears. "Jenna, why won't you change? It's been 5 years. How long are you going to continue down this path?" Seeing her mother's red eyes, Jenna felt a pang in her heart. She turned her face away. "I just had a casual chat with him. You're the ones making a big deal out of nothing. You still won't admit it." Robert slammed his hand on the sofa, played the recording on his phone, and put it on the coffee table. "Listen to this. Does this sound like a casual chat?" Jenna looked down at the phone. At first, she didn't know what it was. But when the voice came out, her face changed drastically. Cora actually recorded it. Robert's voice was dripping with sarcasm. "If she hadn't recorded it, how would we know you haven't changed at all? Even now, you're still trying to slander someone." Jenna was furious, her mind a complete blank. "I thought you had come back because you had seen the light, because you had changed. But it turns out you've only gotten worse. And what's with this boyfriend of yours? Weren't you going to marry him? You even said you would bring him back for your mother to see. Where is he?" Robert pointed at her, taking 2 steps forward and roaring. "You've become a pathological liar. If I didn't lie and say I had a boyfriend, would you have let me come back?" Her true colors exposed. Jenna couldn't be bothered to hide them anymore. "We're both your daughters, so why was I the one who was kicked out of the house? Because you hurt people. Because you're a disappointment. Because you're selfish and narrow-minded. Because you're cold and greedy, wanting everything but cherishing nothing. Jenna froze. After his tirade, Robert asked, "Was I wrong? The family raised you, took care of you, gave you the best resources. You had everything you wanted. What more could you be dissatisfied with? Your mother and I don't ask you to be filial. We only ask you to be a decent, kind person. Is that too much to ask?" Jenna remained unrepentant, even managing a small smile. "Is it wrong for me to pursue my own happiness?" Robert's eyes blazed with anger. "Pursuing happiness is not wrong, but that doesn't mean you become a mistress, that you try to steal your sister's husband. Do you have any idea how much shame you bring upon us? When people curse us for having no class, who do you think is hurt the most? It's me and your mother. We gave you the best education, yet when you do something wrong, we're the ones who have to take the blame." Robert was so angry he felt a sharp pain in his chest. In his rage, he swept a glass off the coffee table, shattering it on the floor. "We didn't raise you to have you come back and torment us. Get out." "I won't." Jenna sneered. "You say you gave me whatever I wanted, so why didn't you let me join the company? Why does Cora get things that I don't? Your words are so pretty, but you couldn't even manage basic fairness. Dad, you're both too biased. You are now, and you were 5 years ago. You knew Cole and I were about to get married, yet you still supported Cora being with him." Robert's face was ashen, the hand at his side trembling as it clenched into a fist. If his wife hadn't been holding his arm, he might have already struck her. "Before you ask, why? Can you do some self-reflection? Do you really need someone to spell it out for you? Fine. Then you listen up. Why don't we let you join the company? Because you're useless. Everything you touch, you ruin. Didn't we arrange a job for you overseas? How many times did you even show up? Do you have any idea what the company's profits were? Why do we support Cole and Cora being together? Because they have true love, and you were a mistake. You don't deserve to be loved. You don't know how to cherish people. You just cause trouble for others, throw tantrums. It's no wonder no one wants you. No wonder everyone leaves you. 5 years ago, you ran away from your own wedding. You knew that doing so would mean losing Cole, that would bring shame to the entire Vance family, but you did it anyway. Do you know what that makes you?" Robert pointed at her face, his words sharp and cruel. "It makes you cheap. You're cheap, you're a drama queen, and when everyone has finally left you, you'll realize just how disgusting you are." It was a hot summer day, nearly 90 degrees inside, but Jenna was covered in a cold sweat. In her entire life, her father had never spoken to her so cruelly. Even 5 years ago, when she had made her mistake, he had only given her a cold look and told her to go to her room and think. Jenna's voice broke. "Dad, in your eyes, am I really that worthless?" "Yes." Robert nodded without hesitation, adding with grim finality, "Maggots in a cesspool are more useful than you. You should be grateful you're my daughter. Otherwise, you'd be checking into a hospital right now." Not hitting her was the greatest mercy he could show her. Her heart felt like it was tied to a lead weight, sinking fast. Jenna kept her face defiant, meeting her father's gaze. Robert took a deep breath, trying to control his blood pressure. "Do you know what it means when we say you can't unspill water? That you can't take back a move in chess? Get rid of your pathetic little ideas. You and Cole are impossible in this lifetime. It's not just Cora who's guarding against you. Your mother and I are too. You want to join the company? Impossible. I'm not senile enough to keep a time bomb by my side. As for the rest, I can't be bothered to say any more. Pack your things and go back where you came from. You can continue with the company overseas. If you produce results, I'll consider letting you come back. In another era, it would have been exile." Jenna was stubborn, but her father was even more so. Once he made a decision, 10 wild horses couldn't drag him back. His tone was unyielding. "If you're not willing to leave on your own, then I'll have to resort to the same methods I used 4 years ago to force you." "Mom." Knowing she wouldn't get anywhere with her father, Jenna turned to her mother, her voice pleading. "In your eyes, am I no longer your daughter? In all the years I was away, did you ever think of me? When I was abroad, did you ever worry if I was doing okay, if I was being bullied? Mom, I really don't want to go back to that place. Please let me stay. Please talk to Dad." Eleanor's eyes reddened. The moment she turned her head, tears streamed down her face. Robert held her cold hand tightly, giving her comfort and courage. "And you?" Eleanor's voice was hoarse. "Do you have me, your mother, in your heart? Jenna, do you know how happy I was when you came back? I really thought you had changed for the better, but you lied to me again. This time we found out early. If we had been a little later, were you planning on drugging Cole?" Jenna shook her head frantically. "I never thought of that. I only came back to compete fairly with Cora. I just wanted to win for once." Eleanor suddenly pulled her hand from her husband's. She slowly walked up to Jenna and raised her hand, slapping her across the face. Smack! The sudden slap caught Jenna completely off guard. She stared in a daze at her mother's gentle face. She had never hit her before, so when she had walked towards her, Jenna thought she just wanted to speak to her more closely. When she raised her hand, Jenna thought, just like in the old days, that her mother was going to hug her. The slap seemed to ring in her ears, her left ear buzzing. In truth, Eleanor's slap wasn't hard. Compared to Cora's, it was probably only 20 or 30% of the force. It didn't even leave a red mark. Eleanor closed her eyes, tears streaming down her face. The person you need to win against has never been someone else, but the person you want to become. You keep comparing yourself to others, and you'll only ever lose. This time, I can't protect you. It's not that I don't want to, but that I don't dare. Eleanor had grown up wealthy and had been cherished by her husband after marriage. If it weren't for Jenna, her life could be described as smooth and carefree. This slap seemed to have knocked Jenna back to her senses. Her father, who had never said a harsh word to her, had called her cheap. Her mother, who had never laid a hand on her, had slapped her. If she didn't bow her head now, she probably wouldn't be leaving this house today. Jenna wiped the tears from her face. How could she describe herself now? A deflated balloon, a frostbitten eggplant, a porcupine with all its quills pulled out, a cactus left to rot in water. She had lost. She had lost to Cora once again. No, she hadn't even had a chance to get on the board in this game before she was eliminated. No taking back a move. Can't unspill water. A broken mirror can't be mended. These were the phrases she hated to hear the most. Her stomach cramped, as if a hand were squeezing it tighter and tighter. Jenna gritted her teeth, suppressing the pain. Fine, I understand. I'll go abroad. But before I do, I want to talk to Cora. What do you want to talk to her about? Robert's tone was immediately suspicious. They were both his daughters, but now, in his eyes, she had become some kind of venomous snake.